We are live. This is our first ever SM Media Cheltenham preview night. Welcome aboard. I'm Scott McPike, delighted to be your host as always. Joined by, as always, my partner in crime, the man I've spent the last 18 weeks of the year with trying to pick every winner of the Cheltenham Festival, Callum McClurkin. Callum, finally we've managed to do this. How excited are you to be on for our Cheltenham Festival preview night?
Yeah, very excited. On the home straight now, so can't wait to get started. We've got some brilliant guests to join us.
Brilliant. As well as that, if you want to hit the subscribe button and share this video, and we are going to be here for the next 2 hours at least, trying to go through every race, picking you a winner for the Cheltenham Festival. We'll go through by our special guest, but first of all, we'll go with Mark Mackay. Mark, it's a pleasure to welcome you on to SM Media. Thanks very much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me on, Scott, and hopefully we can find some winners for the festival for everyone watching tonight.
Brilliant. As well as that, we're joined by Gary Sebasgaard. It's a pleasure to welcome you onto the show.
Thanks very much, lads. Thanks for having us. Should be a great show. Looking forward to it. Thank you.
Brilliant. And across the Irish Sea, we have Andrew Blair White. Andrew, it's a pleasure to welcome you on. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, no worries at all, Scott. Really looking forward to this, and hopefully a few winners for the home country here.
It's only like a one-horse race for the Irish side, isn't it?
I wouldn't be back in the English for the Presbytery Cup, that's for sure.
Definitely not. Definitely not. We'll kick off. We'll talk about a few things that are catching. Obviously, it's been a bit a difficult couple of weeks in the racing world. I'm sure everybody tonight, we're going to have a good laugh. We're going to be thinking about the positives of horse racing. We've got a wee question. First of all, I've been told to ask this by one of the regulars that watch the show. Jamie Glacken has asked us all. We're going to just go through this one by one. It's only just come through just now. Apart from the obvious trainers and jockeys, who do you think could take this Cheltenham Festival by storm and have a really good week? Go with Andrew first. Who do you think could be a jockey or a trainer to watch that's under the radar?
Yeah, I've got one that very few, I suspect, will have heard of. He's very new to the scene, but I think he might get a few decent rides for Gordon Elliott in the handicaps, or Denise Foster in the handicaps, should I say. A young lad called Jordan Gainford. He's very new on the scene. He's only had a handful of rides in Ireland. He looks like a super jock. He's the closest I've seen to Jack Kennedy since Jack Kennedy was his age. I suspect he might claim off some of those horses of higher weights, the likes of Chosen Mate, maybe even the Boss's Oscar in those types of races. He might have a few decent rides, and certainly one to look out for, especially to see whether he rides something in the boys' race, the Martin Pipe as well. I'd love to see him, from a personal perspective, I'd love to see him jocked up on wide receiver, but he's certainly a guy that very few will know of, but it wouldn't surprise me at all if he's leaving Cheltenham this year with a winner.
Definitely, I couldn't agree more with that. I'm very impressed with what I've seen so far of him. Callum, who's the jockey or trainer you think could take this year's festival by storm?
Obviously, Willie Mullins has got quite a decent team of jockeys. He's going to utilise Rachel Blackmore. Paul Townend's going to have a lot of rides, but with Patrick Mullins not there, I think Brian Cooper could have a really good week. Watch him, maybe might keep the Rhine Blue Lord if he's got a chance. I think he's got a lot of decent handicap shouts as well. It would be a great story as well. Won the Gold Cup with Don Cossack. His career kind of went down south a little bit, but I think he's had a good season this year, a bit of a renaissance, and I think it can continue at Cheltenham. He'll pick up some decent under the radar white rides for Willie Mullins this year.
Brilliant. Mark, have you got one that's under the radar?
Yeah, this woman trainer, Denise Foster, she might do all right, I think. But I was going to say Gainford as well, but maybe Fergal O'Brien will get. I don't know if he's had a festival winner yet. I think he might do all right this week. He'll probably have a couple plotted up for the handicaps. So I don't think he's had a festival winner yet. Maybe this is the year he'll get it.
Definitely. Gary, we'll close out with you. Is there any you feel that could be one to watch?
Not so sure, really. I think not really so much under the radar, but I can see Dan Skelton having a decent festival this year, probably even above average for himself. I think he's got a few nice entries. Kim Bailey's probably got a couple more entries than normal, so I think they're two that if you were doing the what they call it, the telegraph thing where you pick the trainers and you get points to use and all that, they're a bit like you do with the footy. I think there could be two to stick in your team.
Yeah, I've got Dan Skelton as well. I've got John Janelle Jr. as well. He's got a couple of good mounts. Potentially be on Sky Pirate. There's a couple of other ones that John Joe's got in kind of competitive handicaps.
He's a cracking jockey, him.
Yeah, he's the next JP jockey, I think. whenever that decision's made, if we're going to. But we'll start off with the championship races. We'll just basically talk through how we're going to do this. We're going to do the 4 championship races. We'll touch on the other grade 1s. We'll do the novice hurdles, novice chases, and then we will give the floor out to the boys with a look at the handicaps. They're going to have as much time as that as they want with the handicaps. And as well as that, we are going to do our charity bet at the end of the show. So we're all going to have a charity bet for the show. So we're looking forward to that. And we'll start off with the big race on the Tuesday, the Unibet Champion Hurdle. Honeysuckle leads the market 5-2. We have Goshen at 10-3, Epataunt 7-2, Abacadabra's 12-1, and 16-1 bar. Andrew, if you'd said to me before Christmas that Epataunt would be third favourite for this race, I'd have said you were bonkers. But it's turned into a really competitive renewal of this race.
Yeah, exactly. And it's great to see. Look, the Champion Hurdle in a couple of years gone by hasn't maybe been one of the greater races in the festival. So it's good to see it being as competitive as it is. I think you could make a firm argument, actually, that Epataunt's a shade big at 7-2. I don't really see how she's bigger than Goshen. I know she disappointed at Kempton, but look, you've one horse that could be anything in Goshen, but he also could be, pulled up at the same time. It could be boom or bust with him. Epataunt won the race last year. Look, I've been a bit snippy with Honeysuckle before. I didn't think she could win last year. Thought Benny would beat her every day of the week, and tried to get her beat again this year. I'm just not going to, fool me once sort of thing. I've got to back her in this race. Thought she was electric in the Irish Champion Hurdle. She jumped super. She jumped a lot more like a 2-miler. She kind of fell in the Irish Champion Hurdle last year. She jumped slickly. She travelled super. And I think they're going to go hard out in front, which might be against the likes of a Goshen. That it's going to be a bit of a burn-up out in front, and they might cut each other's throats. So Honeysuckle for me, one that I certainly, if you're going to get 4 places or so on the day, I certainly wouldn't discount Sharjah running into the frame. I just think the race may collapse out in front with the pace angle there, and it might suit a closer like Sharjah or an Abacadabras, but I'd have a bit more faith in Sharjah than Abacadabras. So Honeysuckle with Sharjah running into the frame.
Brilliant. Mark, who you think for the Champion Hurdle this year?
I really want Honeysuckle to win, but I can see it, like Andrew said, being a burn-up, and I can see a hold-up horse coming in, and I actually like the one that he didn't like in Abacadabra, who I think needs to be produced really, really late, and if he can be produced after the last, instead of, he got left in the lead in the Supreme, he didn't like that, he was a sitting duck for Shiskin to come and get at, he wants to hit the front halfway up that run-in. I think each way with 4 places, I think Abacadabras will run a lot better in the Champion Hurdle than he's run earlier in the season. I think he might get a bit better ground, and he'd be for me each way. But I'd love Honeysuckle to win, Rachel Blackmore to win the Champion Hurdle. It'd be great for racing.
Brilliant. Gary, what's your thoughts on this race?
Yeah, a few fancies. I mean, same with all the races, really. I think obviously you're taking the price into consideration. I got on Honeysuckle quite luckily at 14-1, which obviously I'm really pleased with that back then. Goshen was my horse right from the start of the season. I think it was my first anti-post bet this season actually for this. And obviously he had his issues and then came back. A little bit against what Mark said. I think there's three or four at the top of this that I wouldn't give absolutely any chance to, and they are Epataunt, Abacadabras, Silver Streak. I don't see any of them winning this. I understand what Mark says about him being out in front the last day, but for me, I had absolutely no excuses not to win that race, and he just doesn't win races often enough. He's been, and you look at the price difference between him and Aspire Tower, and I don't get it. All Aspire Tower has hammered him twice now, and I think the each way angle for me is Aspire Tower. The pace in the race is the interesting bit. You've got Aspire Tower and Goshen who are going to want to be up at the front at a price as well. I know everybody crabbed him a little bit, but I wouldn't write Belvedere off. It was a first run back after a long time off, and he ran a 150 after 400 odd days off the track. Now, I know his form hasn't really held up with what Navajo Pass has gone on and done since, but Yeah, I don't think it was as bad a run as people were maybe saying. So at a price, Sharjah, Andrew said, he's one for me that it'll depend on the track. At the end of the day, he was only, about 3 lengths behind Epatante last year on ground that probably wasn't ideal for him. So if it did end up, I know we've had a bit of dry weather down there. If it did end up coming on the good side, good to soft, then he will definitely be a player. But I think Honeysuckle is the most likely winner. I think the pace out in front will suit her for her to come later on. So I think she's the very, very likely winner. But at the price she's right now, Aspire Tower each way would be my play. Yeah.
Callum, who are we on this? We've discussed the Champion Huddle at length in many episodes, but who you've tipped up Abacadabra as a year. Who are we thinking this year for the Champion Huddle?
Yeah, I'm sticking with Abacadabra. He's won 4 out of 9 races over hurdles. His strike rate isn't the best. Sometimes his finishing effort does flat to deceive. But since he's been nutted by Shishkin, I think he's been trained to this to the point. He's been there sitting duck. He's been unsuited to these kind of Irish races of 5, 6, 7 runners who had to be held up and come late. That scenario, I don't think on bad ground is his kind of cup of tea. He's the only horse over obstacles that has got within 2 lengths of Envoy Allen, and that was in the 2019 Royal Bond. So I think he's got a good each-way chance, particularly if the pace collapses. Last year's race was interesting because everyone was expecting Not So Sleepy to go out in front and be a lunatic, but he missed the break. So it allowed Petit Mouchouard to just dictate a sensible pace. Everything went right for Epatante that day, and she showed her class. She is a bit big. I agree with Andrew now. She is drifting out to kind of a decent price. I think her class is definitely there. Out of the 3 at the market, the top, I'd probably lean towards Honeysuckle. I think she holds most of the aces. She stays, she quickens. And that was a career best last time in the Irish Champion Huddle. I think she's up to this for sure. And Goshen it really is boom or bust, I think, with him. He's either going to pull up or win. I think they'll try and restrain him, keep him just off the pace, and then down the hill, Jamie Moore will try and roll on him and maintain that gallop right to the line and get these mares out of their comfort zone. And an end-to-end gallop is a worry for Epatante for me. I think better spring ground is a slight concern for Honeysuckle. She's not a million miles clear in the ratings either. And I think a pace collapse could happen here. Like it could suit Abacadabra and Sharjah from the back.
What do we think of this James de Belly? I know he's came to France and hasn't run in the UK or Ireland, but are we thinking that 16 to 1? What are we thinking about this? Who wants to talk about James de Belly? I just don't see it, to be honest. But who wants to have a chat about James de Belly?
I couldn't back him, Scott, because I know absolutely nothing about him. Simple as that for me. You know, it'll be just if he turned up and won, then it is what it is. Sort of thing. I don't know enough about the horse to back it. So
I think he'll be more of a novice chaser for next season, I'd imagine. I think he's more of a long-term project than this. I think Willie Mullins will just throw him in here and see where he's at.
Right, I'm going to have my say. I think Honeysuckle is seriously going to show how good she is here. I know she was very, very impressive in the Irish Champion Huddle this year. That was a career best, and she's won 10 out of 10. She jumped and travelled really well, something you can't say she's done in a long time. That was probably her best jumping performance. I think Rachel Blackmore again, you can say how well she done last year in the Mares Hurdle. She had a plan straight away in the Irish Champion. 4 out, she took it up and absolutely kind of pounded them into submission. I think this is Honeysuckle's race. The only thing that would worry me is, do we think Epatante could be potentially, I know there was talk about her back and things like that. Do we think that could maybe help Epatante, the fact she's not run since December? With result, I think that makes her fresher. I think
she can't jump, she won't win. Simple as that.
I'm with you, Gary, in Aspire Tower each way. I think it's hard to see. Do we see? I know Goshen didn't take the lead in the Triumph last year, and we saw what happened. But who do we think is going to make the running in this race?
There'll be a few. There's some for someone will be up there.
Or Street would be prominent, I think.
Yeah, it's a difficult race to call. I mean, Goshen. Duke Callum's touched on Goshen as well several times. That Goshen was 3-1 for the race at Wincanton, and now he's a similar price to the Champion Huddle after one good run. It's difficult to.
Scott, we've got a good thing and a bad thing for Honeysuckle. The good thing is that the last 6 winners of this race have all been unbeaten in the season.
Mhm.
So there's not many horses that fit that stat this year. I think there's probably only her off the top of my head that's unbeaten all season. The bad thing for Honeysuckle is that Andrew Blair White's now backing her, like he said.
Yeah,
So
I don't like Andrew Blair White
No.
jumping on the bandwagon either.
The more I back her, the more people watching this should be laying her, I think.
Yeah, you're right
This
on that.
is exactly what happened with Apple's Jade a couple of years ago. I didn't hate Apple's Jade, but I always took Apple's Jade on. And the one time I backed her was in the Mayor's Hurdle, she got turned over at odds on. And then I went back to not backing her. She started winning again. So I do please be cautious about backing Honeysuckle on the back.
Brilliant. So we're going to go round the panel. Callum, we are starting with Abacadabras.
Yeah, Abacadabra each way.
Mark.
Yeah, Abacadabras each way.
Andrew.
Honeysuckle, but Sharjah each way as well.
And Gary.
Yeah, Honeysuckle to win, Aspire Tower each way.
And I'm with Gary. Honeysuckle to win and Aspire Tower each way. We'll move on to the big race on the Wednesday, the Queen Mother Champion Chase. We have the talented Chacun Persois at 10 to 11 favourite. I should say all these prices are courtesy of William Hill. We're not plugging William Hill as a sponsor. That's just where I'm getting the prices from. Altior 7 to 1, Nubi Negra 8 to 1, Politolog 10s, Put the Kettle on 12s, First Flow 14s and 20 to 1 bar. We'll give this to Gary. What do we think of Chacun Persois? Is there any doubts in your mind that this horse is the real deal?
Nope, absolutely none whatsoever. I know me and Andrew have had a few chats about this on different shows we've done together, and we're of the same opinion that I just don't get the knocking that this guy's had, even when he came out this season. I think he's an absolute superstar. Altior could be back to his best. I'm on First Flow at a really big price just because I thought the price was over the top, but he will win this race. And I know there's people saying that he doesn't turn up often enough. It was a stone bruise last year. Any horse can get a stone bruise, and he will win this race. In behind him, battling for places, I think there's a few fairly interesting ones, but like I say, I do think First Flow will be in the mix. I think Put the Kettle On should go to the mares, but that's my opinion on that one. Altior could, if you're backing Altior here, you're doing it with your heart, I think, hoping he'll be back to his best. But he's a brilliant jumper. Yeah, he hasn't run at Cheltenham before, but there's nothing that I've seen that would worry me there. I think he's just probably about a stone too good for any of these.
Callum, what's your thoughts? You've obviously tapped up Chacun in the show. What's your opinion of the Champion Chase this year?
Yeah, I think Chacun Persois is about £7 clear, and that's clear of a Politolog who had his limitations exposed last time out, I think, and an Altior that's probably on the decline. So the young up-and-comers that he'd be more interested in, he's probably further ahead of those as well. So yeah, I think he's miles clear. He's always been a shade odds against in the exchanges, and I think that's out of hope more than expectation that he'll get beat, mainly because of the nature of the race. Duvan get beat at 2 to 9 for Willie Mullins. It's the only one that he seems he can't be able to win. Is it going to happen again? I think those are the doubts over Chacun Persois rather than Chacun Persois himself. I do expect him to win, and he will win unless something goes wrong. Out of the rest, I think Altior is a head over heart, a heart over head situation. I agree with Gary on that. I think you're taking trust on him. Nubi Negra was at a flash in the pan last time when he beat Altior. His form before that was miles off comparison to that. The one that's way too short in comparison to Nubi Negra is Rouge Vif. Rouge Vif absolutely thrashed Nubi Negra in the Kingmaker last year, and he won a handicap of 156 at Cheltenham at the start of the season, and then the Harry Whittington stable just went down the pan. They're coming back to form now, and good ground will really suit this horse. I think at 25 to 1, I think he'd be the each way play of the race for me, because on all evidence, Chacun Persois has the Irish covered, doesn't he? If you look for an each way angle, I'd look at Brit. First Flow, I think, might need rain. Nubi Negra is a bit too short, I think, for me. Sue Royal, we know what he does. but he's a bit exposed. It'd be quite disappointing for him to win. I think Politolog has had his moment in the sun 12 months ago, so I think Rouge Vif is the one at a price that would be of interest.
Mark, what is your thoughts on this year's Champion Chase? Is Chacun Poursuit a good thing?
I think it is. I think Chacun Poursuit is a good thing, but looking through the betting this morning, myself, I looked without Chacun Poursuit, and I thought put the kettle on at 6-1, 3 places each way was a stunning bet. Unbeaten at the track, won the Arkle last season, getting £7 off the rest of the field. She's been saved for this race. Henry de Bromhead's got a great record in the Champion Chase, and for me, she's the bet without Chacun Poursuit 6-1. That's the bet I'd put up each way, her at 6-1 without Chacun Poursuit.
Andrew, what is your thoughts on the Champion Chase?
Yeah, look, I'm with Gary. As Gary said there, I love Chacun Poursuit. I do have a thing for these Mullins horses, especially in the Richie colours, but this horse is absolutely super. And you've got to bear in mind, like, if this race was being run at Leopardstown, he's a 4-6, 4-7 shot. Like, he's that far clear. Like, it's literally just the track that your people are trying to take him on with, and I don't see it personally. I do think he gets knocked. I think it's kind of lazy journalism at this stage, the people that still want to call him Mr. Glass and stuff like that. Like, he's been a fully sound horse, bar one stone bruise for the last 2.5 seasons. He went to Punchestown as a very unexposed and untested novice and beat an Arkle and JLT winner that day, absolutely superbly. He was awesome last year in the Dublin Chase, and he's been classed this year again. I don't see what gets him beat. I think the Champion Chase will be run to suit. I think Politolog will give him a lead down to the line, or down to the last, sorry, and I think he'll go on after the last. I think people want to crab him for his finishing effort at times at Leopardstown. I think he just gets bone idle out in front, and because of his jumping, they've sometimes sent him on a little soon at Leopardstown. Leopardstown's a lonely enough straight at times, and it's deceptively uphill actually when you're at the track. So I wouldn't bear any resemblance to that, considering the hardest he hit the line was the last day, where he got a lead into the race. I think that's how he'll be ridden. He'll be covered up, and pounced at the last, and hopefully away and goes. And hopefully he ends the Willie Mullins hoodoo in this race, because Callum unfortunately brought back dark memories of Duvan getting beat in this race, which still brings a tear to the eye. But hopefully Chacun Poursuit can get a bit of Willie Mullins justice in this Champion Chase.
Yeah, I'm with you.
What I would say, Scott, is the stats all, never mind the Willie Mullins one, the stats all around do go against Chacun, which is a little bit worrying considering how favourable I am in it. The Irish winners in this race isn't very good. About 3 from 14.
Yeah.
It's all round, but horses that haven't run at the track before have a terrible record. So it's not the best for him, but I do think, them stats there are there to be broken at times, and I do think it'll be too good. And it's even worse if you're an Altior fan, because 11-year-old plus is a 1 from 42. So
I think I'm with you in Chacun. I think he would have won last year in the Champion Chase. It obviously cut up into a race, but I fancied him last year anyway. The 3 starts he's had, the difference this year is he's come out and won his first start. It was obviously impressive at Yowden Park. Won over Christmas, really, really impressive over Christmas, actually. Comes in Franks of form. I just think he's an electric jumper. I think he's the best jumper in the race. I don't have an issue about the track, because the phrase is, if you can jump 2 mile 1 round Leopardstown, 2 mile round Cheltenham shouldn't be a bother for you. It's just the old kind of saying I've heard. But I think if he jumps, he should win. I can't have Altior. I love the horse. I know we'll all probably have memories of Altior. I just don't. I just think he's gone. The race against Suriname, it's flat in Suriname in my mind, so it looks as if it's flat in him too. Nube Negra, I think it was probably a flash in the pan. Again, it's the Skelton's on terrific form. If there's a stable going into this festival as good a form for the UK as the Skelton's, I'm yet to see it. I would maybe stick up So Royal each way. I thought it was very, very impressive to beat Champ in the Chase a couple of weeks ago, but I'm with you in Chacun. So we all round the table, Chacun Poursuit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think it's Willie Mullins is going to break his duck, and Chacun Poursuit is going to win the Champion Chase. We'll move on to the Thursday. We have the Paddy Power Stairs Huddle, and this could be the leg 3 of a three-way fight between Time Hill and Paisley Park. Time Hill leads the market 3-1, Paisley Park 10-3, Belly 7-1, Roxana 12s, Florin Porter, the Storyteller and Champ at 14s and 16-1 bar. Callum, the Stairs Huddle, how excited are you to see the Time Hill and Paisley Park go at it again? What's your thoughts in the race?
Yeah, proper race in comparison to last year, where it fell apart. Probably one of the worst championship races that the Cheltenham Festival's seen, perhaps. It looks on paper to be a duel again between Paisley Park and Time Hill. The long walk form is probably the best on offer. I think better grounds will help Time Hill maybe reverse the form with Paisley Park. But saying that, last time the long walk, a lot went against Paisley Park. They still came and won. So I'm really 50-50 between the pair of them. Young horses do really well in this race. I think 6 of the last 7 winners have been aged 6 or 7. Fury Road still interests me. He's interested me from the start. I'd be interested. He should really go here. Last time out, he was a bit disappointed not winning, but he led from Beacon Edge, and he just went too slowly. And Beacon Edge did him for speed over a trip that looks too short for him. I think he's crying out for 3 miles, and he's probably crying out for a fence in the future. But the fact that they've kept him this year suggests there must be a long-term plan, and the Stairs Huddle has been a long-term plan. And I think 20-1 is still a massive price, providing that he goes here. Another one I quite like is Florin Porter. I think from the front, he could dominate, he could dictate terms, and he'd be dangerous if they left him alone up front. Those are the 2 I would quite like. I think the Storyteller's overpriced in comparison to Sebasgaard on his form this season. But 2 I'd like at a price, because I can't really split Time Hill and Paisley Park. I quite like Fury Road and Florin Porter.
Brilliant. Mark, what's your thoughts on this year's Stairs Huddle?
I honestly think that the horse that gets the best ride is going to win this race. I don't know if it's about the horses. I think if Richard Johnson can get it right and hit the front at the right time, not give Paisley Park a chance to respond like he did the last time. The last time he hit the front too early and Paisley Park pulled him back. I think he needs to do it like he did it at Newbury, hit the front and know he's going to be able to stay there. I'm a big fan of Time Hill, but it really is going to be on the rides. And I know everybody's slagging last season's form, but I thought Lisnagard Oscar's last race was quite a decent performance. And I think each way at 16-1, it's not a bad bet. But I would like Time Hill to win the race, because I think he was unlucky last season in Albert Bartlett. He got checked twice up the run in. I think if Richard Johnson can get it right, I think he's the best horse in the race.
Andrew, where are we with the Stairs Huddle?
Yeah, look, I'd echo an awful lot of what Mark's said there about Time Hill. I think they're going to have to ride him quite cleverly. I think the key to get Paisley Park beat is to not give him too much of a target to aim at. And he did exactly that at Ascot. He gave him a big target to go and run down. So you got to ride him with a little bit more restraint and ride him for a bit more of a turn of pace, I reckon. I'm not going to say this very often tonight, I suspect, but I think the Irish challenge in this race is useless. I don't like Sire de Burley. I don't like the Storyteller at all. He seems to be the definition of a wise guy's horse in this race. Fury Road, I see where Cam's coming from. I wouldn't discredit even the run the last day behind Beacon Edge. People seem to have forgotten Beacon Edge was a half length behind Honeysuckle in Hatton's Grace 2 starts back. He's not a bad horse in his own right. And he does need 3 miles, Fury Road. I'm just not sure. They seem to be playing bingo with whether they're going to run or not. But Time Hill has been the horse I've liked all year for this. I love the Bartlett form from last year. Arguably, if you're being hypercritical, Richard Johnson has had 2 grade 1s taken away from him in terms of the Bartlett last year and the long walk this year, where I think if he'd had his time again, he probably would have ridden both races a little differently. I'd be looking to, hopefully he'll get it right on the third time of asking. I think he's the best horse in the race, I think. And I'd like to hope he does the job, and he's the improver of the lot, and I hope he can justify that.
Brilliant. Gary, where are we with Stairs Huddle this year?
Yeah, one of the best races of the festival for me, this one, in terms of depth and how many you think could win it. Top of the market's looking very hot. Obviously, good when you see horses face off against each other a few times. Find it really hard to pick between them two, Paisley Park and Time Hill, to be honest. Cider Burley is a horse I just cannot have at all. How easy the price is, I have absolutely no idea. The age thing, I like Roxana as a horse, but 9-year-olds don't tend to have a very good record in this race. I think 28 from 31 have been aged 6 to 8. So, and Paisley Park's 9 as well. So Roxana, Paisley Park, I don't know if Ken Boy's going to end up lining up here, but they're not got the best record here. To be honest, the two at a price that I like, Florin Porter, like Callum said, he'll be one that I might back in running. Yeah, I will see how the race is going, and if they have let him go off in front, and all he needs is that chance to get a breather in, because you saw the last day that's what happened. He got a breather in, and he had a second win to go again, and they just couldn't get anywhere near him. And if he does have a good few lengths lead, I will probably back him in running. The one that I still think is overpriced is Fury Road. Again, like one or two have said. So each way, they're probably my two players, but the front two in the betting are going to take some beating for sure. But I would find it tough to pick between them.
It's another line in Florin Porter. He beat the Boss's Oscar by 12 lengths. Now, if the Boss's Oscar wins the Pertom of 151, Florin Porter could go off short of the same day quite easily on the back of that. I mean, his performance, albeit he might have got a soft lead, is comfortably the best Irish staying Huddle form of the season.
I know we didn't probably think of it, Mark, but me and Mark did a preview when he won at 18 to 1, and I wonder what price he was for this before he won that race. I didn't even look, but it would have been interesting.
It's probably the most improved horse of the season in all capacity, isn't he? Like considering he was an Auckland rated 93 or something at the start of the season.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Like I like Florin Porter.
Does that? Gavin Cromwell did it with Davos Stars. Esper Dallin came up from the ranks really quickly. You know, he does have these rapid improvers sometimes.
Yeah, I liked it. I've been a fan of Time Hill since last year. I just love the horse. I think he's suited to a stairs hurdle. I think he's slightly the scope for more improvement in Paisley Park. I think, again, as Mark's made the point, if he went maybe a bit too early in the last time and gave Paisley Park something to aim at, I think, as Callum said as well, the better ground might just give the rest of Time Hill, and I think the age will just be on his side. Florin Porter I like as well. I think that Irish staying hurdle form's been very poor this year. Sire the Belly, I think 7 to 1 because he's won 2 Pertemps finals. I think that I know he comes alive at Cheltenham, but I'm not a big fan of Sire the Belly. But I'm keen on Time Hill. I just think again, Johnson, the master, is going to get this horse over the line, and I think Time Hill could be the winner of the stairs hurdle. So we'll go around to take the table again. Mark, your selection for stairs? Time Hill. Andrew?
Time Hill.
Yeah, Time Hill as well.
Gary?
Fury Road each way, keeping an eye on Florin Porter and running.
Brilliant. Callum?
Same as Gary, yeah. Fury Road and Florin Porter.
And I am going for Time Hill and Florin Porter each way. We will move on to the big race on the Friday and the big race of the week, the Well Child Cheltenham Gold Cup, where we will see Album Photo going for his third Gold Cup. He leads the market 11 to 4. Champ's been well supported now 9 to 2. Applitard 6 to 1. A few horses at 14 to 1. Royal Pagaille, Santini, Kenboy, Manila Indo, Frodon, and Native River 16s and 33 to 1 bar. Mark, what is your thoughts on the big race of the week, the Cheltenham Gold Cup? Will Album Photo make it 3 in a row?
Right. Before I start, can anyone guess what's the top-rated British horse?
Santini?
No, Santini. I'm shocked at that. Anyway, I think Santini's had a poor prep. Native River needs soft ground. Royal Pagaille might not even go. I just think, as much as you want to try and find a value bet, I just think I can't find one. I wouldn't say I'm going to necessarily go out and back Album Photo, but I think he's by far the most likely winner, and I can't find something to bet against him. So I'd either be leaving the race alone or backing the favourite.
Andrew, I watched a preview night you were on last week, and you were singing the praises of Album Photo. Do you
Yeah.
think? Do you think he is going to? Are you confident?
Look, I don't think this is any stronger actually than the 2 Gold Cups he's already won. Look, there are a few things going against him, obviously. Very few horses win 3 Gold Cups. There's no getting away from that. And also, he's not one of the greatest jumpers going around. He's always looked like he's had a big mistake in him. He also absolutely detests the first away from the stands, the first down the back. Always makes a mistake at it. He's won 2 Gold Cups. He's made 4 mistakes from the 4 times he's had to jump that fence. I just think, though, that this race doesn't look brilliant. I could make the case that Champ has the ability. I don't know whether he has the mind, though. And at 9-2, it's getting skimpy at this stage. Initially, after that Newbury run, he was in there around 7-1. You could make a small case at that type of price. Plutar, not a horse that's done it for me. I thought he had every chance to win the Ryanair last year, and he didn't do it. He's sometimes being flattered. People still are bringing up the fact he beat Chacun Poursois when he was around 60% fit last Christmas. I don't see how that's Gold Cup form. I understand he's potentially the improver, but he's not for me. I would chance, if I was playing something each way, I'd chance the other de Bromhead horse in this, Manila Indo. I'd give him a second go. Look, he fell at Christmas. That's unideal. I thought just the last day, it was almost a case of we need to get him around safe. It was a very kind of safety first ride. I just think on a bit of better ground, Jack Kennedy's booked to ride him. Jack Kennedy would probably suit the horse, very quiet type of rider. Just on a bit of better ground, he's rocked up to Cheltenham twice. He's won a Bartlett and second in an RSA. There's no getting away from good festival form. 14-1 looks big. But I really, really hope Album Photo can do it again. I don't think there's anything in here that he can't beat. And I think if things go to plan and they go a decent enough clip, I think he's going to take a whole heap of stopping. And you could make a case that at 5-2, he's still a decent price.
Gary, what's your thoughts on the Cheltenham Gold Cup? Are you with Andrew and Album Photo?
I think I always tend to try and look to get favourites beaten. He's obviously the rightful favourite. The more I look at the race and the last couple of years, I can't help but think we've just seen quite a few poor Gold Cups for the last couple of years, to be honest. I think this year's terrible. I don't like it at all. And hopefully with a couple of the novices we've got coming up in the likes of Monkfish and Envoy Allen in years to come, we might see some crackers, fingers crossed, because I really don't like the race. The one I'll back, and I'll back him because I put him up anti-post for the National Hunt Chase. I'd quite fancy Royal Pagile if he ran here, because I think the race is that poor. I think he'd run a cracking race, and at 10-1, non-running money back. That's where my money is and has been at the minute. There's just not many. The thing with Champ with his poor prep, as you go back through, I just can't find my stat, but I know that lightly raced horses coming into the Gold Cup do very well. Horses that have only run once or twice, and that's not just because of Alboon, but down the years, horses that have only
Best
run
Mate as well. Best Mate done that.
Do really well. So I maybe wouldn't write him off. I think, like what Mark was alluding to, was more the fact that he ran over 2 miles. You know, his prep's, it's just bonkers, really. So who can know what he's going to do back at a Gold Cup distance? But yeah, my bet, and to be honest, for a Gold Cup, it's not a race I have that much interest in, but Royal Pagile, none of the money back.
Callum, what is your thoughts on this year's Cheltenham Gold Cup?
Yeah, same as the guys. I don't think it's a terrifically great renewal, and I do think Album Photo has enough in his sleeve here to make a wee bit of racing history here. I think Champ is a major threat, mainly because of the unknown tap potential he could have. Some engine they showcased in the RSA when he got out of trouble. To do what he did around Newbury, second in a Grade 2, I think the game spirit was some effort. I don't think there's a lot of Gold Cup horses that can potentially do that. It's quite a lot of Manila Indo. I think you're banking in a return to Cheltenham to spark him into life. I do have a feeling Santini will run a career best. Whether that's going to be good enough or not, I'm not too sure. He'll probably run onto a place and throw it away as per usual at some point. Plutard, I think the Sebasgaard Chase kind of fell in his lap a little bit. I think he was made to look a bit better than he was. He was given the best ride in the day. But he is a threat. He's unexposed. I like Album Photo. I think he will win and out each way. I think Native River could actually run a really good race from the front here. I think he'll swat aside Frodo and win the pace battle, and I can see him being in the first 3 or 4.
The King George is sometimes a good prep for the Gold Cup. Is anybody giving Frodon a chance? Because I'm certainly not.
No.
I don't.
The problem with Frodon is Native River in the race.
Yeah.
Who's taken him on twice at Aintree before, and he throws his toys out of the pram as a result. So I couldn't.
Scott, just one there. I don't know if you're reading the comments on your YouTube, but an interesting stat against Native River there, if this is right by Shane, is that out of 180 horses that have run in the festival that are age 11 or over, only 2 have won in the Grade 1s. That doesn't go very well for Native River at all, if that's right.
But as well as that, obviously, Native River is going to really need soft ground. Obviously, I don't think he'll ever get the conditions he did the year he won the Gold Cup again. But I'm with Gary and Royal Pagaia. I'm begging the Riches to send. Callum will tell you, I've been messaging the Ritchie racing manager trying to get him to run Royal Pagaia in the Gold Cup.
Don't do that. I'm on him at 20s for the national hunt.
But again, it's that poor race that I think the probably the best UK form as that performance. He's won over 3 mile 6. He's not going to struggle 3 mile 2 in the Gold Cup. I'd love to see Album Photo 1 just for the history of it as well. Again, I've not been a massive fan of Album Photo. I wasn't keen on him the first year. I think it fell into his lap the first year. This last year he was completely changed that. It was unbelievable to fight off Santini. There's another horse I just can't see. I'd back him to win a London Marathon before I backed him to win a Gold Cup. Honestly, I just don't see I can see Santini running a big race, as Callum says, and being in the first 3, but I just can't see him winning it. He's going to get he comes off the bridle at a mile. It's just, I'm not a big fan of Santini, but Champ as well. Champ's got untapped potential. Album Photo I'd love to see winning, but it's, again, I like Kenboy. I'm not going to lie. I just think Kenboy's jump.
My Cliff horse. I love him. I absolutely love the horse.
He's jumping better than he's ever jumped before.
Never sent him off in the front in a Gold Cup, and I know there's a couple of horses in front on Native River, but he needs a positive ride from the front because they never give him it at Cheltenham. Just try it. If it doesn't work, it obviously doesn't work holding him up. So just give him what he does best.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that as well. But I would stack up Kenboy at 14s each way. Callum, you're going with Album Photo.
Yeah, Album Photo for me.
Mark.
Yeah, Album Photo for me as well. Yeah, sorry, favourite.
Andrew.
Yeah, Album Photo. I wouldn't put anyone off having a couple of quid on Manila Indo.
And Gary.
All I've got for you is Royal Pagaia, non-running money back.
If Royal Pagaia goes, I'm all over him. He won't be 14-1 if he's confirmed to go in the next few days. So I would say if it's non-run a little bit, go on Royal Pagaia, but Kenboy each way for me. That is the championship races. We'll move on to the other Grade 1s and races we're going to look at before we touch on the novice races. The Mares Huddle, last year we saw an epic between Benedict and Honeysuckle. Neither of them's going to turn up this year, but we have another short price favourite trained by Willie Mullins. Concertista, 11-10. Roxana, 7-2. Honeysuckle, 4-1. She's not going here. Damn the Company, 13-2. Black Tears, 12-1. Verdana Blue, 16s and 20-1 bar. Andrew, where are we with Concertista? Are we going with? Are we taking her on?
Probably wouldn't be laying her, that's for sure. Whether I'd be going in at the price, probably not. Look, I've backed Black Tears for this race each way. I wouldn't mind to see her in a couple of without markets either, or place markets. I think she's got a very good chance of beating some of the rest of these. She has it to find with Concertista, no getting away from that. Roxana is a very good mare. I'm just not so sure about her at Cheltenham. She also flashes her tail quite a lot under pressure, which I wouldn't quite be a fan of. Damn the Company's had a kind of failed, well, not failed, but she's been chasing and it hasn't gone particularly to plan. The likes of Verdana Blue I'd be taking on as well. So I think Black Tears, she's got good festival form. She's in 12-1 at the moment, which you could back each way, but I'd probably be on the day backing her in a without market or a place market or something like that. I think she's got a very good chance of being in the 3.
Brilliant. Mark, where are you with the Mares Huddle? Are you keen on the favourite? Or are we looking elsewhere?
Yeah, I have been all season. Really keen. After last year's Mares Novice, where she just absolutely flew ahead of Dulcita, I honestly thought then she could be a champion hurdle horse. After her first win this season, I thought they would maybe push her back to 2 miles for the Irish champion. They haven't. They're going to take the easy option. I hate tipping favourites, but I have honestly on my videos been going on all year about Concertista. I know on the ratings she's only the same as Roxana and a few pounds more better than Dame de Company. And after backing Dame de Company for the Mare's Chase, it would be sod's law if she came and beat me. But I honestly think I'll give the game away now. Concertista is the best bet of the week for me.
Brilliant. Big one there in Concertista. Callum, Mares Huddle, where are we at?
Yeah, I like Concertista as well. No prizes for originality, but I think she's just simply the best horse in the race. A 12-length demolition job of the Mares Novices was quite taking, and she seems to be getting better and more progressive. I also agree with Mark in thinking that she wouldn't be out of place in a champion hurdle either. I think she's good enough to place in that as well. She's 3 from 3 recently. I think she holds all the aces in this. Manila Melody's chased her home the last twice. I think each weight 25-1. It's not a bad bet for her to do the same again. And like Mark, I've backed Dame de Company for the Mare's Chase. I think she should be going over fences. And I think that Roxana should be in the Stairs Hurdle. I think her improvement has came by and large for going over 3 miles. I think she'll be outpaced in this by Concertista, and I think she'll win.
Big vote for Concertista. Gary, where are you with the Mares Huddle? Are you with the boys in Concertista?
Yeah, I'm with Callum on the Roxana thing as well. At the end of the day, she only has, based on the last performance, she only has 2 lengths defined on him, which I think they should be giving that a crack there. But I agree with what's been said. Concertista will take some hellish beating here. The one that I'll give a shout to, though, just to get away from that, the one that I like each way is Indefatigable. I've got wrote down here 33s, but I think must have come in a bit. I think 25s is maybe the best we can get. She absolutely loves the track. She's run here just the 3 times, 2 wins and a second. Obviously won the Martin Pipe last year. She finished that. Anything that finished around her, she was 7 pound heavier than them all as well. It was a cracking run last year. Now, I was a little bit disappointed with her last day. She was early on in the season. She was up to 3 mile, and I could forgive her for not running very good there. But she was stepped back down to 2.5 mile, and I actually backed her. Thought back at the ideal trip, and she didn't run as good as I actually thought she would that day. That was a little bit disappointing, which is probably why she's the price that she is now. But I would be willing to give her a decent each way shout as well, not just a small one. I'll be playing her each way quite significantly because I think she's in with the right shout in what's a pretty poor racing behind the favourite.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think Concertista is the best bet of this. Probably one of the best bets of day one. The step up, obviously, she won over 2 miles last year in the Mares Novice, but a step up to 2.4 is brilliant. I like Manila Melody in second. I know she's been second to Concertista twice. I think she's another horse crying for the step up and trap. She was very, very poor last year over 2 miles. I think she will be better at the course this year with the higher trap. I just think Concertista is just so far clear of these. I can't see a lot of these really running. Verdana Blue, I don't know if he's. I know there's I'll mention for the county hurdle for her as well. I don't know, but I'm a use Concertista. So 5 votes for Concertista.
Yeah,
black tears each way.
Black tears each way, right? Okay.
Yeah, I'll go Indefatigable each way.
And as well as that, we'll move on to the Thursday where we have a very open race, probably one of the most open races of the week. The Ryanair Chase, we have Allaho leading it at 4-1, Imperial Aura 11-2, Min 6-1, Fakir Duderi, Mr. Fisher, Mellon at 8-1, St Calvados 9-1 and 10-1 Bar. We will start with Callum. What are your thoughts on this year's Ryanair Chase?
Yeah, well, when you look at the market, it looks like a handicap race. The top 7 that are going to run here are priced between 5 and 9-1. It's quite something. Nobody's taking a real concrete opinion on it because they're all so hard to split. I'm edging towards Mellon though. I'm interested to see who would possibly ride. I think there might be a chance that Rachel Blackmore might ride Mellon, and Patrick Mullins is not going to be there. His strike rate is a concern. Around 8-1 though, I think he's probably the most solid each way preposition. So I think he's going to run his race. He's going to go to Cheltenham. He's been second there 4 times. Was it his attitude that gets him beat? I think that's a bit harsh to Crab if that is the case. He's got champion hurdle pace. I think he can. I think Min's a year older than him. I think Allaho might need another year to develop at this level. I think Min could win this pace battle and could really dictate terms. He's a brilliant jumper. He was absolutely electric in the Savills Chase, just committed too early and get run out of it. I think this could really be his day in the sun. And a lot of horses may call on this. Yuki Zandra held on, made all. Under so Min last year, Q Card did it, Frodon did it. I think the early exchanges are going to be massively important, and I think Mellon could do the business.
Very good. Gary, what's your thoughts on this year's Ryanair Chase?
Looking like a very good race, that's for sure.
Yes.
Like you said about the betting, I think that speaks for itself. I'm a big Min fan, always have been, but after what happened the last day, I backed him earlier on in the season. I thought Fakir Doudary was well priced at one point. He's come in though because Lydia Hislop put him up, so that lost his price. He was 14s not that long ago. I thought he was overpriced. 2 I'd give a shout to, and one of them I've never put up before in my life, and it's going to hurt me, is Sam Crow. I think he's a horse that I've just never liked, but I do think he's overpriced here, and I do think he could be a player. Came out when he was third in his reappearance at Down Royal, and then he was obviously up in trip for a go at the Savills and just died out the back, didn't get the 3 mile, but back to his optimum trip. Obviously course form with his win last year. I do think he's overpriced at 14-1. And another one that's had a similar situation this season, I actually put him up for the Gold Cup because I thought that's the route he would go. And after a cracking run in the Gold Cup last year, is Real Steel. He's obviously changed yards and has been nothing like since changing yards. If he bounces back to anything he's only ran twice this year, any sort of form. He's probably a little bit short, to be honest. I think I'm reading 14s there. I would probably like to see 20s plus with the way he's been this season. But yeah, like you say, open race, but at the prices, probably Sam Crow each way, and I've never put him up for any race before.
Brilliant. Andrew, what's your thoughts on this year's Ryanair?
Yeah, geez, I thought I was going to get my head bitten off for potentially mentioning Sam Crow, and Gary's gone and sharked in. Yeah, look, I'm a big fan of Allaho, actually, and I know there's a bit of debate about it. I think Paul Townend will ride Allaho. I think he's the improver of the 3, the one with open to the most improvement. Fascinating to see how this works out with the 3 Mullins horses, how they line up. I think they'll take a small lead on Allaho personally, and they'll allow Mellon and Min maybe go at it a bit and drop Allaho in third, give him a bit of space to get into a decent enough rhythm early doors. I thought he was super thirless the last day. I wasn't sure. I didn't think there was anything in the tank when Ellie May came to him at the last. And then he sprinted clear again, like a really good horse would. And Paul Townend said after the race that he took a blow. So you'd have to imagine there might even be a couple more pounds on that. And I think Ellie May's got a cracking chance in the Mare's Chase. So I've got to follow that form in. So I would be backing Allaho. I've backed him at the start of the season for this race. So he is a bit of a cliff horse for myself, but I do like him a lot. And as Gary alluded to there, I wouldn't put anyone off having a few quid on Sam Crow, because the one thing about this race is you've got a lot of horses coming in here either off bad preps in terms of like they've unseated or run poorly, or are nearly horses. And I put like Mellon and Fakir Doudary. Yeah, they're good each way claims, but are they actually going to go and put their head down and win a race? Thought Fakir Doudary gave the Arkle away last year. He had every chance to win it and didn't do so. Mellon maybe is a bit more unlucky. I wouldn't actually question his attitude, but he does seem to come second a lot. So Allaho, but Sam Crow each way is a bit of a saver.
Brilliant. Mark, what's your thoughts on the Ryanair?
Yeah, it's a strange race this year. Nothing's really coming in off a good prep. I mean, Allaho's win, he only gave Ellie May £2 instead of 7. St Calvados fell. Min banked defence and got pulled up. Imperial Aura, Unseated Rider. Mellon got beaten last time. So although it's good horses, they're not coming in really running well at the moment. But I'm the same as Andrew. Like I said on the mid-season video, Allaho's a cliff horse for me. I got beaten on him in the Marsh last season because I backed him for that. Then I backed him for the RSA as well, and he didn't get home. That's why I wanted him to go in the Marsh. I've always thought 2 mile 4 is his distance. We're going to find out in the Ryanair if it is or not. I'm on at better prices. I wouldn't tell people to back him at 4 to 1 because I don't think it's value. But we're going to find out if the Allaho that I think is the 2 mile 4 horse is going to run in this Ryanair, and we'll find out then. But he's the one for me, but not at the prices. I wouldn't tell people to back him at that price.
I'd be surprised if what Andrew said's right. If Paul Townend goes for Allaho, I didn't think there'd be any chance of that personally.
See, I thought he would go man. Like,
I did, 100%.
I just don't understand though how you could go for a horse who's just banked a fence. Like, I just think out of the three, you've got one horse as the proven form perhaps, but is coming in off a dreadful preparation. One horse that always seems to get beat around Cheltenham, no matter how hard he tries. And one horse that's the improver of the lot. And Paul Townend has ridden Allaho, I think, in all bar one of his starts.
Well, I mean, when was the last time Min pulled up before his last run? He's obviously got cracking forward. You can forgive a horse for one, can't you?
I just think if Patrick Mullins was around, would he not have rode Min and somebody else?
I think he would have rode Mellon, would he not?
It's hard to know. Well, who's riding Allaho then? Like, suddenly Brian Cooper's found himself on the favourite.
Told you Brian Cooper from the start.
Well, I suspect Cooper will be on one of the three.
And it's still not confirmed that Patrick Mullins won't turn professional yet, is it?
I think it is. I think he's come out and said he won't do it.
All right, fair enough.
There's a couple of horses I want to mention that we've not touched on. Okay, me and Carl spoke to Kim Bailey, and he is very confident about Imperial Aura, isn't he, Carl?
He is, yeah. It's not like him to fall. Well, he didn't fall. He was unseated. As he corrected us.
Yeah, he corrected
us, rightfully so. Was convinced that something distracted him around Kempton. I'd go along with that. He does have a bit to find, though, just in basic form. I think he's won 2 relatively weak races, but the nature of the race, him sitting off the pace, and if he gets into a rhythm, I think he is dangerous, and he's got a good win record, unlike some of these. So if it does develop into a bit of a grind, I can see him. He could win. He really could win. The one at the top of the market I don't like at all is Mr. Fisher.
See, I was going to touch on that.
I don't understand this. In 16s from 8s, I think he's a grade 2 horse.
But he's won the is he 8 to 1 because he's won the overcourse and distance this year?
Isn't he just
he's getting his ground, isn't he? But,
yeah, I just think, is he not just a modern day top notch though? Like, he's just he'll clean up these grade 2 races, yeah. 5, 6 runner races, but get to Cheltenham and always somehow come 4th or 5th.
I tipped up Min after the John Durkin. I thought he was very well. We heard he was very impressive that day. We didn't actually see if he was impressive or not, but that's why if you can read the reports on Allaho for then, I wouldn't be confident on him. And Paul Townend chose Min that day. So I'm thinking he maybe goes Min here.
Yeah, so that's why it's so tight at the top of the den.
And as well, obviously, Min was tremendous last year, the way he stayed on to win this race. I think I'm a big fan of Allaho. I think he's the most talented horse, and I think they finally should have run in the Marsh last year. I think that was an insane decision. I think that was based on Faheen, the reason he went to the RSA. But I love Allaho as a horse, but I would be slightly worried about his jumping. I don't think he's the best jumper. Can I go along with that? I've never been. I think he's got a great engine. I've just never ever been taken by his jumping at all.
The only thing I'd say just in his defence was I do genuinely believe the best he's ever jumped was in the RSA last year. He got into a super rhythm in the RSA. I think you'd probably, would you not line him up 2 or 3 wide, make sure in the Ryanair they have kind of 2 or 3 fences going in a row to start it off with. Just get him into some type of rhythm, and then hopefully the thing takes over from there. But I would agree, certainly. Like, apparently we didn't see the John Durkin, but apparently he didn't jump very well in that.
Yeah, I think he had a few.
Didn't jump brilliantly in the Savills Chase either. So they are legitimate concerns.
Yeah.
And as well as
Good for Min, by the way, which is a bit worrying. 10-year-olds don't do very good in this race. 1 in 12. So,
Man, I like Man after the John Doctor, but I tipped him up at 8-1. I'm still confident. I think if they came out and said that there was a problem, I would be more. But they found nothing wrong. Was it just a case of he hit that fence the way he did? Like they haven't come out and said there's anything wrong with him. So who would to believe? Who would to think he's not in top form going into the race?
Patrick pulled him up quite sensibly. He
Aye,
wasn't
I
panicking
thought
in
that
the
was-
saddle, was he? It's just there's no point carrying on chasing Jack and Persois for another mile, was there? So they just did a sensible thing.
Yeah.
I get bit by Sam Crow last year, so I'm gonna put him up each way just to cover myself, because I thought last year going into at the start of the season this horse was I backed him for the Mars last year very early on, and I kind of wrote him off after the performance against Raheen. So I'm going to cover him at 16-1. I think 16-1's out. I don't think it'll be 16-1 in the day. I think people will get wise and maybe kind of back him in. We'll go for our final picks for the Ryanair. Callum,
Melon each way.
Melon each way. Mark,
Allaho to win.
Andrew,
Yeah, Allaho with Sam Crow each way.
and Gary.
Sam Crow each way.
And I'm going to go for Min to win, Sam Crow each way. We'll move on to, in my mind, one of the races of the week, the Triumph Huddle. This year we have a very exciting renewal. We have Tritonic leading the market 5-2, 9-4. Sorry, Zanahiyr 5-2, Calixios 6-1, Adagio 12-1, Dufflecoat 20-1, Teopu 20-1, and 33-1 bar. We will start with Mark. How excited are you for this race? It is looking a corker in paper.
Yeah, I've been looking forward to seeing Zanahiyr over here since he won the first time, and I just think he's top notch. I can't believe that he's not the favourite anymore. I know that Tritonic was visually impressive, but I don't think Tritonic beat very much in that race. And I know he went away from horses, but they're not that good horses. And it was at Kempton. I don't know. I just think Zanahiyr is probably the real deal. And I've been looking forward to him all season. I think he'll win the Triumph. I think his stablemate, well, not his stablemate anymore, obviously. I think Calixios will be the big danger, really, not Tritonic.
Andrew, what's your thoughts on the Triumph Huddle? Are you looking forward to this exciting race between these?
Yeah, looks a great race. I'd echo Mark's thoughts. I think Zanahiyr is top notch. I think a strongly run race will suit him better as well. Tritonic, I wouldn't be so sure. He's visually very impressive. Casalupi, though, was 65 rated on the flat, and Pasadoble was just kind of out there for a bit of experience, really, more than anything. So I don't know how to interpret that type of form. I'm not a massive fan of Calixios myself. I think he's fairly laboured over 2 miles. Actually, I think he needs to step up and trip. And potentially a fence in time. I know they've said that before about him. I think actually overpriced is Adagio in this. Especially, I know some people seem to, every man and dog seems to have now backed Hugh Gree for the Boodles on the Tuesday. If he goes and wins the Boodles, does that Chepstow form not look pretty good? I liked Naslam at the start of the season. He was a bit of a, Goshen type heart overhead pick after he won at Fontwell. He's not certainly going to win a Triumph Hurdle, but I thought Adagio did a really nice at Chepstow. I think he's much better than when he was beaten by Dufflecoat in November time. I think he's progressed an awful lot more since then. I think he's just a little bit overlooked in the market. I think that form's not too bad, and I'd give him a chance each way. But I think Zanahiyr will take a lot of stopping, and he'd certainly be out at the top 2 in the market. He'd be the one I'd be going for.
Brilliant. Gary, what's your thoughts on this year's JCB Triumph Huddle?
Yeah, I'm in the Tritonic camp. Put him up before his last run. I do think he's coming a bit too short, to be honest, to be backing right now money wise. But I think he's the likely winner here. Couple of stats I've going to actually go against Zanahiyr in this. I do think he's to the eye he's quite impressive. Is Zanahiyr, but Tritonic was over a stone better than him on the flat. I think the Newcastle suit Tritonic better than it'll suit Zanahiyr with the only a couple of hurdles in the last mile, which is where Tritonic tends to be at his best. And I can see it being a very close race coming to the last, and I can see him being the one that powers up the hill. It was shown his finishing ability in his last races. Mark touched on his last race there, but there was quite a few horses coming into that race with some decent form that he just absolutely left for dead. Now, what they turn out to be, fair enough. That remains to be seen. There isn't much down the betting. It's a race that tends to be quite good with the favourites. So Tritonic will be my bet. The last 12 or 13 winners of this have all ran within the last 50 days. Zanahiyr we haven't seen since Boxing Day. So it's not, like I say, there's a few stats out there that don't really bode well for Zanahiyr, and I will be in the Tritonic camp, but it was more of a 10-1 shout than it is a 9-4.
Yeah. Callum, you've tipped up a horse for this race a couple of weeks ago. What's your thoughts on the Triumph?
Very good race. Yeah, I prefer Zanahiyr to Tritonic. I'm with Mark. I don't think he's beaten much at all. I think the recency bias of Kempton is overblown now almost every year. I've had it with Solo. Radishan was one of Alan King's horses that won this odds on, and he didn't do much in the race. I think he might bounce, although he's quite good, but I think he should be more in line with Colexios's price than Zanahiyr's. Zanahiyr's won a fast-paced race at graded level. He's won one at a slow-paced race. He's beaten St. Sam by 14 lengths, who's now rated 139, and he might go here instead of the Boodles. There's nothing that's going to run the Triumph that Tritonic's beat. So I think he's too short. I think he's one of the lays of the meeting for me. Tax for Max was beaten by Tia Hupu a couple of weeks ago, Fairyhouse, in the same race that Burning Victory won. He pulled like a train. His head carriage was above horizontal. But Coolmore have had this long-term plan from France for November for him. He's rated 102. He was fifth in a Grade 1 in Munich. It's a race that Derby winner, Waltgeist start winner, get beaten as well. So he does have an awful lot of talent, and I think he showed that he jumped quite well, but he just didn't settle. And the fact that he still galloped to the line and debut to get to Tia Hupu, who's quite a decent horse, I think, in his own right, professional and polished, and got the run of the race from the front. I think a big pace Triumph Huddle, if he can learn to settle out back, I think he's a really lively outsider. Because Burning Victory last year in it almost clattered every hurdle and showed marked improvement. If he can tap into his flat potential and show improvement, he has a chance at a big price, but he has to learn to settle.
Yeah, definitely, I'd agree with that. I'm in the Colexios camp here. I think there's too big a gap between Tritonic and Colexios. I've just followed this horse all year. I know the Zanahiyr's probably got better form, and he's beaten St. Sam, and I think Busselton was in the same race as well. I think he's got better form, and I think there is a big gap in the betting. Tritonic, I'm with Callum. I just can't have him. Solo's a perfect example of last year. I just didn't I think the race was kind of fell apart. I think it was very, very visually impressive. I thought it was very good. His jumping was poor, and I know there's two jumps in the last 7 furlongs, but I can't have him. I just prefer the Irish Challenge here. I like Colexios more to Zanahiyr, just at the prices more than anything. I think
just one thing to note, lads. What I would say is to keep an eye on is these horses that have moved camp in the recent with the Gordon Elliott fiasco. Obviously, this race isn't till Friday. I would just keep a little eye on how those horses run. Now, I know it's been well spoke about stuff like change of feed, change of hair, change of all round scenery. If the likes of maybe Envoy Allen turn up and don't win, you might say the likes of Zanahiyr drifting like a barge, and that's just one that I would be keeping an eye on. It might, it might not affect these horses at all, but it's just worth keeping an eye on.
Is Zanahiyr definitely worth no mead? Is it?
No mead, isn't he?
Is he definitely there?
Zanahiyr's at Calentra.
That's what I heard. I heard the Morans were keeping him there. Yeah,
I thought he'd got to no mead. Sorry.
No, he's not gone.
All right. Well, he shouldn't have much of a change of scenery then.
Well,
are you worried about that though? Like with Gordon, the Cheveley part. Are you worried about if that could have an effect?
The funny animals, mate. I deal with them day in, day out, and they are funny animals. It doesn't take much to upset them, and a change of feed, a change of hair, anything like that, scenery. it could certainly cause a bit of an upset there.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly going to be interesting to watch. As you say, it's worth keeping an eye on. Envoy Allen, we'll touch on him later on, but we'll go for our final selection for the Triumph Huddle. Andrew?
Yeah, Zana here, but Adagio each way.
Brilliant. Gary?
Tritonic win.
Callum?
Sana here, and Tax for Max each way.
Mark?
Sama here.
And I'm going for Calexios. We will move on to the newly established race of the week, the Mayor's Chase. We have Ellie May leading the market at 15-8. We also have Colreevy 4-1. Not sure if she's going to go. Shattered Love 15-2. Annie Mac 8-1 and 16-1 bar. We will start with Andrew. What is your you mentioned earlier on the show you're a big fan of Ellie May. Are you expecting her to romp home here?
Yeah, I really am. I think she's a super mare. She was a good novice chaser last year. She's been quite kind of quietly gone about her work the last couple of years, and this Mare's Chase has been a godsend for a horse like herself, who's much better over a fence than she is over hurdles. I'd be following in that Nace form from the last day when she won the Opera Hat. I'd be backing her. I think 15-8 is still a good price, and I'd back Shattered Love to finish directly behind her. Colreevy, I think, will run in the race. I'm just not sure about Colreevy going left-handed. She's 0 from 3 going left-handed and 0 from 2 at Cheltenham, including a 7th in the bumper and 5th in the Mare's Novice. I don't think she particularly likes going left-handed. She was also beaten at odds on in a Leopardstown bumper a couple of years ago. So I think she is better right-handed. I think she's better with a bit of dig in the ground as well. And I know this is after she's gone on and won a graded race, and I know this is going to cause a bit of controversy. I don't think she was specifically going to beat Scarlet and Dove the last day at Thurles. I really don't. I thought Scarlet and Dove was going to give her a real rattle. And if she'd been beaten, or if she'd only beaten Scarlet and Dove a half length or something, you'd probably get double the price you're getting right now. So I think Ellie May's the rock solid horse in this. And Shattered loves some decent Cheltenham form. I'll back her without.
Brilliant. Mark, what's your thoughts on the newly established Mayor's Chase? Are you looking forward to it?
Well, I was until the company got taken out of it, but I'm not now. Yeah, I agree with Andrew. I would be right against Colreevy if she ran. I agree with everything he said. All the negatives are there for her. I think she should go to Fairy House, or is it Limerick, or wherever the Grade 1 is in Ireland. I think she should go to that race because it's right-handed. She's more likely to get soft ground. And she's got to give weight away in this race as well. She's got to give £2 to Ellie May and £5 to Shattered Love if she comes here, which is a lot for a novice. So for me, Ellie May's got the best form. Shattered Love followed her in. And then the British horses, Annie Mark doesn't look like she likes Cheltenham. She's run poorly there twice. It looks like it's not going to be a great race, to be honest. And sadly, it looks like the favourite will win it. And I don't like, and I've constantly tipped about 4 favourites in a row. So I think Ellie May will win. I don't see much opposition, but I think Shattered Love, a successful winner, might be an each-way play, but only at 6-1. It's not really a great price for an each-way bet.
Yeah, we'll move on to Callum. What's your thoughts on the newly established Mayor's Chase?
Echo everything that Andrew and Mark have said. Ellie May, for me, is the best bet of the week, I think, at the prices. I think 15-8, 74 is an excellent price. She's just had the ideal preparation for this in comparison to any other horse. I think a lot of the rivals in behind want soft ground as well, which they don't seem to get. I think Ellie May's more versatile on that front. She's a clean jumper. She boasts good form. She's progressive. I think she'll improve again. She holds all the aces in this. Colreevy has to give her weight. Her penalty's not that bad. Yeah, I think she is a rock solid. Once this race was priced up at the start, the favourite was Salsaretta.
Mm-hmm.
And she's now out to 16-20-1. And if Willie Mullins does bring her over here, I think she might be an each-way bet, but you are taking everything in trust. She hasn't done anything this season at all. It's all going rather pear-shaped. But I think better ground, she's one of the very few mares in this race that I think would depreciate better ground. And she does have a kind of unexposed touch of class. So maybe her each way, but yeah, I think Ellie May looks rock solid.
Gary, be following the lads in LMA.
Yeah, I think she looks good, doesn't she? She's going to take some beating, that's for sure. I would echo what Andrew's just mentioned there. My bet in the race, as much as I think Ellie May would win, will be Scarlet and Dove each way, or maybe without. You're probably going to get, I haven't looked, but probably I would guess around 5 or 6s without, which I think is a very good bet. 2 out of 4 this season. One obviously just recently on Saturday, beating Sempo by 7 lengths. That was back at 2 mile. Fell in the race prior to that, but was well clear of the field with Colreevy. It was going to be a 2-horse race coming to the last and fell 2 out. But yeah, her 5 chase starts at 2-2-1, fell 1. So she's got very good form going into this. I think she's overpriced at 16s. And as I say, I can't say any more about Ellie May than what the lads have. I think very, very likely winner, but Scarlet and Dove would be either each way or without the favourite for me.
Yeah, I'm kind of agreeing with you. I'm not the biggest LMA fan. I think it's a very poor race. I think it's like the first Mares Huddle we saw. There's not an exciting race. I just think LMA will probably win. I would like Annie Mac, but again, I would just worry about her Cheltenham form and the ground. I mean, she's won over good ground and over hurdles, but I've over Chase. I've not seen her run over good ground. Nothing else really excites me. I just think LMA will probably win. I'm not got a massive opinion in this, but I would say just probably I won't have a bet, but I would say LMA is probably the most likely winner. So we're all thinking.
Scott, sorry, but one I forgot to mention was Happy Diva. I was going to mention her as well. She has very good course form. Does had a bit of pretty poor season, to be honest, but she can find a bit of form back. She'll be in the mix of things. She loves Cheltenham.
Brilliant. So we'll go through our selections for the Mares Chase, Callum.
Ellie May and each way fly on Salsaretta.
I'm going to go for Ellie May and keep an eye on Annie Mac. Mark?
Yeah, Ellie May, but I think Shattered Love will definitely place in this with a festival winner already.
Andrew?
Yeah, exact same as Mark. Ellie May with Shattered Love to chase around.
Brilliant. Gary?
Scarlet and Dove each way.
Brilliant. We're going to talk about the champion bumper, then we'll go for a drinks refill and we'll be back to talk about the novice races. But champion bumper, we saw easily the best bumper performance we've seen in 2 years since Envoy LM won the champion bumper at Cheltenham. Kilcrew 15-8 leads the market. Sir Gerhard 2-1, 10-1 3 Stripe Life and 20-1 Bar. Mark, you're with me in the Kilcrew bandwagon. Just how much are we excited about Kilcrew?
I'm really excited. I can't believe I'm watching preview nights every night, and everyone's just slating the form. And I don't think the horse can. I mean, what's he supposed to do? Oh, it's a pace collapse, so I'm gonna make it look good. Let's be clear about it. If that had won 9 lengths and Kilcrew hadn't been in the race, they'd have been saying that Sir Gerhard was some sort of superstar. Yeah. But because Kilcrew's gone past him like he's standing still, it's a place collapse. But the overall time of the race was just about 0.5 of a second more than Hanny Sackle. And the horses that came from the back, only Kilcrew went past the leader. The rest all dropped further behind. Let's be clear about it. So, although there was a pace collapse, Kilcrew's won the race in a hot canter. And for me, he's been working with Princess Zoe before he went to Willie Mullins. He's obviously improved for going to Willie Mullins. I think he's got a great chance. I don't want to talk up a bet on my own because, I am excited about him. I know that Sir Gerhard's a good horse. I hear that 3 Stripe Life and Ginto were both running really well at home at Gordon's, but Ginto doesn't seem to produce it on the track, and he wasn't even entered. Jerry Colomb wasn't entered, and he looked a good horse. I was quite pleased to see Sir Gerhard move trainers, because I don't think that's a positive, yet he's gone from 3-1 to 2-1, which I don't understand really. I mean, I wouldn't want Kilcrew to move stables last Saturday, to be honest. I am excited about him. I hope he can reproduce what he did at Leopardstown. I don't know. He's the only bet I've got running out my 5 bets, so I am excited about him. But it is the champion bumper. It's a tough race to win. Hopefully he can reproduce what he did at Leopardstown for me. I hope he wins.
So I really hope he wins as well. Gary, what's your thoughts on the bumper?
Yeah, good battle up top, but I'm going to take one at a bit of a price here. I'm going to take Huddle Games. Think currently best price about 20 to 1. 3 out of 3. Won just before turn of the year at Leopardstown. Second Euro trip, came out and won next time by 19 lengths. 6th break even, came out and won next time at Fakenham. If you go back to the race before that, he won at Punchestown. Second to him that day, came out and won next. Form's really stacking up good at the minute, so a little bit probably less exposed and less in the chat than the top two. But at them prices, I'm going to be having a stab on Hollow Games.
Brilliant. Callum, what's your thoughts on the bumper?
Yeah, full respect for Kilcrut and Sebasgaard at the top of the market. I find them hard to split personally. I'm sitting in 3 Strike Life at 16 to 1 each way. No run, no bet. He's going to come in for a little bit of support. Quite like his sire leading light. I think he's got a decent pedigree to do well in bumpers, but he'll be a steer down the line, I think. Thought his only run this season was quite good. The time was quite smart. I think you've got to watch out and look out for all those time gurus that do these bumpers, because you don't really have a lot to go on. It's all about visual impression, and he'll do for me.
Brilliant. Andrew, what's your thoughts on the bumper this year?
Yeah, very hard race to know. I've backed Sir Gerhard at bigger prices, but I'd echo Mark's thoughts. I don't think this is ideal whatsoever. Probably would just about still side with them, just because I don't like kind of moving off a horse and then it winning, and then you're there going, well, why did I do that? 2, I'd just give a mention to, probably have a couple of quid each way on. Mullins just always fires a lot of horses at these races, and he's had bigger priced winners before. Just 2 that I think are big are the mare Grangy, won the mare's bumper, has done the exact same as Relegate did her year. I think she's 20 to 1. I think they quite like her. And also a horse called Cool Jet, who's 33 to 1. Both of them are going to run in the race. Look, they're big prices. If you have a spare fiver, I'd be putting a 250 each way on the 2 of them, just in case there's a bit of a boil over one of these Mullins, the 5th string Mullins horse comes and does them all, because it has happened before. And if you're gonna get a strange race at Cheltenham, it will happen in the Champion Bumper. It can sometimes just the pace can collapse and something funny can happen. So just 2 to bear in mind.
Brilliant. I'm the mark in Kilcrew. I'm on at 11 to 1. I'm on at 16 to 1. I followed this horse since Tony Mullins put him up last year, if you remember. I think the whole world backed him that day when he was, and I can't remember what horse beat him.
Captain Kangaroo.
Captain Kangaroo, that was it. But yeah, he's changed to Willie Mullins. I mean, when you talk about visually impressive, he was absolutely unbelievable in Dublin. Just the thing as well, Sir Gerhard, I think Sir Gerhard maybe needs further. I wasn't worried about the stable thing until Gary brought it up, but now it's kind of worrying me a wee bit. But I just think Kilcreut's a really good horse. I think I've already backed him for next year's Supreme, so I'm hoping he bolts up here.
I mean, the horse, I would think, it can affect any of the horses, but I would think the horses it's probably more likely to affect are the younger ones. Right. So if you have any juveniles, I would think they're probably, that's why I was talking about Zana here earlier on before I realised that he hadn't actually moved. But yeah, I think the younger ones might take to it a little bit worse than the slightly older ones.
Brilliant. We'll go for our selections for Champion Bumper. I'm with Kilcreut. Mark, you're with me in Kilcreut.
Yeah, I would say, I didn't mention it, but I would say that Ramillies could be a bit of a danger. I heard he was a gallop short last time out.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he might run better this time than he ran last time at Leopardstown. But definitely Kilcreut for me.
Kilcreut. Andrew?
Yeah, Sir Gerhard probably, but Grangy and Cool Jet, just have a look out for, maybe worth a couple of quid.
Brilliant. Gary?
Hollow Games to give us a big 20 to 1 winner.
Brilliant. Callum?
3 Strike Life each way.
Brilliant. We're going to take a wee break and come back and talk about the novice races. So as well as that, we're going to do a Q&A at the end of the show. I see a few questions have come in already. If you want to get a question into us, we'll do a wee short Q&A at the end, and we'll be back in about 2 minutes. I'm going for a drink. Brilliant.
Gary? Anyone still there?
Still here, Mark. If you've got any theories, I'll listen.
I was going to just say to Gary that I've got told that Hall of Games isn't going to run.
I saw a comment that Bouverdier's going to go to Aintree. Nicky Henderson said tonight.
We're not on air now, right?
Yeah, we're still on air.
It's still on air.
Oh, I'm not saying anymore now.
Who's going to say something? Yeah.
Gary Hall of Games is a non-runner.
Eric McInnes has left Aberdeen.
Hey.
It's not a definite non-runner. I never knew we were on air, or I wouldn't have said it. I wouldn't have said it if we're on air. I shouldn't have said that.
I've been for a drink. Have you just said that Hall of Games is a non-runner? I might not.
No, I never said that. No.
Can we do that race again?
Maybe. I think it'll be all right. I think he'll go.
Just heard Bouverdier. Bouverdier's a non-runner as well.
Yeah.
Oh, well, my night's going really well then, isn't it? Yeah, I've mentioned it earlier.
That's just a rumour. That was just a rumour I heard, Gary. I don't know if it's right.
Right. Okay.
So lots of these
all our viewers as well. If you want to get a question in, please send it in the comments. I see a few coming through. If you want to get a question in, we'll be taking them at the end. We're really, really looking forward to getting your questions in and hearing from you if you're enjoying the show so far.
Hey.
And the Easiest Land rumour was quite something like tonight about the French thing, the wee virus in the equestrian eventing world, but it seems that it won't affect the actual French racing over flat and jump, so he should still be able to come over.
I didn't know that.
I think that broke quite late at 6 o'clock. He went out to 4.1 in the exchanges.
Did he?
And the market was suspended for a good 15-20 minutes, but it seems to be okay.
That's one race that I just.
Oh,
looks terrible, doesn't it?
Terrible. Terrible. Just trying to get primed up. What race are we on next? Can't remember.
We're going to do the novice hurdles. We're going to do Supreme.
Yeah, might as well get the notes ready.
Can I go before Gary on the Supreme?
You can, yes.
my bank of the week's in the Supreme.
Oh God. I hope it's not appreciated because I'm going to give you loads of reasons you won't win.
So am I.
We're all ready?
Yeah.
Brilliant. We're back. We're going to cover the novice hurdles. We're going to start off with the curtain raiser on the opening day. We have the Supreme Novices Hurdle, and it's not the best renewal we've ever seen. I know we'll all have seen better races, but we'll look at the betting. Appreciatedly, Demarket 13-8, Bally Adam 6-1, Metier also 6-1, Soaring Glory 7-1, and 16-1 Bar. Mark, the Supreme Novices Hurdle, it's the race we all want to get the first winner. Appreciate it's really short and looks to be the best of the lot here. How do you feel about this race?
Yeah, I just think I did this race quite severely one night, and I just think although he's £4 clear on rating, I want to be against him. He's only won on soft and heavy. He would not have been normally running in this race, but Fernie Hollow's injured. He would have normally been going for the Ballymore or even the Bartlett, I think. And even though Metier's form is easy to crab, he's beaten no horses that have won. But if you look at the speed figures on all his wins, they're really, really strong. His run in the Tolworth is reasonably good, but it's the race at Ascot that's really impressive, where he was only 0.4 of a second outside the time of Baz, who's rated 156 and is going for the champion hurdle. And he won unchallenged that day. Harry Fry's form was starting to worry me a couple of weeks ago, but he's had a couple of winners lately. I think Metier's not been tested yet, but I think he's very, very good. And I would go with him against the favourite because I don't want to back Appreciate It because Appreciate It has to get softer heavy, I think, to win. He got done for speed last season in the Bamford, and I think he might get done for speed again. And I'm going to go with Metier at 6-1 in this race.
Right, okay. Andrew, what's your thoughts on this year's Supreme?
I actually rarely find myself doing this, but I disagree with a lot of what Mark has said there. And usually myself and Mark have very similar opinions about things. But and I know actually Gary's going to come and shoot Appreciate It down as well. Look, this horse has ran once on yielding ground. Now, yielding ground in Ireland is around good to soft ground in England. And he won a Grade 2 bumper by 8 lengths. So I would actually challenge Mark's thought in thinking that I think Metier is more ground dependent than Appreciate It is. He was a soft to heavy ground horse for the Slatteries. He's done all his winning on soft to heavy ground as well. I get the angle. Appreciate it. Look, Willie Mullins has had better 2-mile novice hurdlers run in the Supreme before. There's no getting away from that. It's a desperate race, though. It's absolutely desperate.
This is just an Irish thing. That's all it is.
No, it's just a desperate race. Absolutely desperate race. And I can make it. To be fair, I can make peace with people back in Metier. I can't. I'm afraid. I don't know whether anyone is. But I can't make peace with anyone back in Soaring Glory.
Agreed.
He's won the Betfair Hurdle of 133. I could name you 15 novices in Ireland that could have won the Betfair Hurdle of 133 that aren't even going to run in the Supreme. The likes of a Master McShee would have won the Betfair of 133 by 5 lengths. So, and people just get fooled by it every time. Better horses before have won the Betfair. The likes of My Tent Are Yours. Even Ballyandy was a better horse than this. So I can't be having him. Look, I think Appreciate It is absolutely rock solid. I don't think actually good ground will be as against him as people think. I wouldn't back him right now because I think bookies will try to get him beat on the day. I think you might get 2-1, 9-4 on the day. And suddenly at 9-4, he becomes a price, I believe. I can understand people wanting to take on a 13-8 horse. I get that. But at 9-4, I think he'd be a very good price. And I would back Blue Lord each way in the race. For every Mullins favourite, there's usually one that runs a good race in behind, the likes of a Shane's Hill. And Blue Lord might just be that. I don't know whether he's quite good enough and quite straightforward enough yet to win a Supreme. It wouldn't surprise me if he ran well and ran into the frame, but I'd be actually very keen on this favourite. I think he'll get Irish backers off to a very good start.
Gary, what's your thoughts on the Supreme?
Well, no hiding, the boys know where I am on the Appreciate It thing. Just the things I'll throw against Appreciate It is that favourites don't. Top end of the betting does well, but favourites don't tend to win this. 7 out of the last 10 have been either second or third favourite in the betting, fitting the Metier trend that obviously I put Metier up a couple of weeks ago. Willie Mullins has had a fairly hot price favourite in the last 5 years. Only one of them has won. Asterion Forlonge, Get a Bird, Melon and Min, all beaten. I would actually go against, and I think this has started, it might be the thoughts of everyone anyway, but generally when Gavin Lynch says something, it tends to become as though it's gospel. And he started the rumours that this is a poor Supreme compared to recent years. And I would actually go against that. I think it's not a bad Supreme at all. I think last year's was okay, but in the years before that, top 3, Classical Dream, Where's He Gone, Thomas Darby and Itchy Feet the year before. And then the year before that, Somerville Boy, Kalashnikov, Mengley Khan. Year before, LeBake, Melon, River Wild. I think this is up there. I think a few of these horses could be hanging around for a while. And I think the likes of Metier, Ballyadam, I think Blue Lord is better than what we've seen so far as well. And I don't think it's a bad race at all. And I think there's one or two. I think Mark maybe mentioned him earlier in the season in Kescon Risk. I think the likes of him could run a good race. So I think it's quite a decent race, to be honest. I wouldn't be in the poor race camp. But the one for me is Metier's 3 from 3. He's absolutely thumped everything he's come up against. Combined winning lengths of 27 lengths, averaging 9 length wins. flew away from the last in the Tolworth, and that was flying away from some horses carrying decent form as well. Different tactics that day, which I was good to see because he's been front running before that. They actually sat him in that day, which I think they'll need to do here, and produce him fairly late on. His finishing speed, appreciate it, got done by a turn of foot last year in the bumper, and I can see him getting done by a turn of foot again here. I know he's beaten Ballymore twice, but that the last day, I think Ballymore would have obviously been a lot closer had he not jumped the last terrible, but that tends to be his trend, not jumping very well under pressure. So he's going to have to jump better to be in with a chance of actually winning. But I think he'll be there and thereabouts for a place. But my bet, I can only echo what Mark said, is Metier.
Okay. Callum, your thoughts on the Supreme?
Interesting racing opener. Understand, appreciate it. It's a bit of a Marmite horse, but he is clear. But he's a stayer to me, and I don't see him progressing for better ground over 2 mile over hurdles. He's a staying chaser in the making. He's also 7. I think the last 7-year-old to win the Supreme was in 2008, and Willie Mullins' last 3 winners have all been 5 years old. They've all been kind of young, unexposed types, up and coming, and they didn't run in a bumper as well beforehand. I think it's worth taking on at a price. I think the rest of the field are more unexposed, and I think they'll get close to him. I think appreciate it has. I think his experience has made him look a lot better than he was. I thought at Christmas he was very good. He was miles clear. I thought Dublin Racing Festival was a bit of a backward step. I don't think Ballymore will reverse the form with him, but he got a lot closer. And at a time where Gordon Elliott's horses weren't running that well, to be honest, he did get close to the last hurdle. He was only about a length down. He could have asked a question instead of bungling it. The two I like, though, are Willie Mullins' stable, Ganapathy and Blue Lord. I think Ganapathy is seriously unexposed. I know a lot of going against appreciate it hinges on whether these turn up to the county hurdle, because I think 5 of the 6 in the top of the county hurdle betting are entered in the Supreme as well, and are the type of each way horses that you want to take on appreciate it with. So I think that's your answer if you want to take on the favourite, is whether these will go to the county hurdle or go here. And the more the merrier on better ground, taking on appreciate it, the more likely he is to get beat. Ganapathy in the Moscow Flyer, where Willie Mullins runs a lot of his very good unexposed horses. He had one that went out, Echoes of Rain, I think it was, at Smead All, and Ganapathy did the donkey work really to catch that horse, and he led at the last only for Dreal Deal to come and mug him. I thought that was a really, really good run. He ran him at 2 mile 6 in the race at Gallard Minneal one, where he was 5th, and he was a non-stayer, but he travelled beautifully on the inside. A drop in trip's perfect for him. I think he's a really unexposed 2 miler. I think if he goes to county hurdle, I think he'll take some stopping if he has the experience as well. He is of serious interest wherever he goes, and I hope it's here. And I think Blue Lord could get a lot closer to than he did at the Dublin Racing Festival. He was too far back off a slow pace, and he was finishing off quite well. So I think he can get a lot closer on better ground. Those are the 2 each way I would take. And I agree with Andrew about the Soaring Glory thing. Soaring Glory was trained to win the Betfair Hurdle, not to compete in a Supreme. I think he's ridiculously short at 8-1.
I'm gonna throw a spanner in the works. I think appreciate it's the best favourite of the week. I genuinely think this is the worst Supreme. Well, maybe not the worst Supreme. The one Getabird was favourite for, I would say, was poor, but that's appreciate it's leaps and bounds clear in my mind. Callum had to stop me tackling for the ballot after the second week of our show. I thought he was going to go that route. I generally thought it was a stair in the making, but he's come back down to 2 miles. He's sure as if he got gears for 2 miles. He was second to Fernie Hall in a bumper. That's better form than anything in the market's shown. And he's been excellent since he went over hurdles. The way he came back from Martin McShee, I can see that similar thing happening again. Good at Christmas, good at the Dublin Racing Festival. A horse I like at 40-1 is a horse for Alex Hales called For Pleasure. He's won at Cheltenham. He's beat Third Time Lucky in November. Ran a stinker in the Betfair Hurdle, but he was way too high in the weights. I think he'll be better. Around Cheltenham. I think he likes the course. I think he's a really, really interesting one at 40-1. But I'm all over appreciate it. I think For Pleasure will be second, and I think appreciate it will get us favourite backers off to a storming week. So we will go round the panel. Mark, who have we got?
Metier for me.
Andrew?
Appreciated.
Gary?
Messier.
And Callum?
Blue Lord and Ganapathy each way.
And I am with appreciate it. We'll move on to the Ballymore. We have an absolute great race ahead of us here. I think this is the race. I generally think this is one of the races of the week. Bob Bollinger 5-2, Gallard Duminil 11-4, Brave Man's Game 7-2. Appreciate it's not going to go sevens. Metier Bear Girls 16-1 and 20-1 bar. We will start with Gary. What do we think about the Ballymore?
Yeah, I think it's a good race, but I think we have a very, very good horse here in the form of Bob Bollinger. I really, really like him. I think I was in my notes. It was Henry de Bonnett's best chance of a winner. That was maybe until he received Envoy Allen, but before that, I think it was his best chance of a winner of the week. You've obviously got some in there that likes to appreciate and that are not gonna be running here. I think he's an absolute superstar in the making. Going to be a lot better over fences than he is over hurdles. But I've really taken a liking to him. He's up there with my best bets of the week, and really keen on him.
Callum, what's your thoughts on the Ballymore?
Great race. I think I can't really see beyond the top three in the market. I think Gillard de Menil was maybe made to look a bit better than he was in the 2 mile 6 race at the Dublin Racing Festival. I thought he's probably just quickened to beat a bunch of Albert Bartlett stayers, really. It might be more visually impressive than it actually is. I'm really torn between Brave Man's Game and Bob Bollinger. I think they're both potentially monsters for the future. They'll both improve for a fence, and they'll probably both improve for a step up and trip in time. At the moment, I'm probably 60-40 Bob Bollinger. I think he might have that extra gear to beat Brave Man's Game. But the way Brave Man's Game, he's drawn comparisons to Denman by Paul Nicholls, of course. The way he took apart that shallow hurdle was exceptional. You could question the form a little bit in behind, but the way he did it was very impressive. I thought it was probably a bit marginally more impressive than how Bob Bollinger won the Laylaws of Naas, but I find them very hard to split at the moment, and I'll be waiting till the day to do so.
Very good. Andrew, what's your thoughts on the Ballymore?
Yeah, would echo a lot of what's already been said. It looks a great race. I'd have Bob Bollinger down as the top one of the Irish too. I don't really like Gallard de Menil. I thought he was favourite for a while there. I see the market's beginning to correct itself. I don't believe he should be favourite on form. Again, just for a week or so, you could get 9-2 Brave Man's Game. I thought that was just the market leaving him behind completely. And I'd be probably similar enough to Callum, except I'd be 60-40 Brave Man's Game over Bob Bollinger. I think he is a super horse. I know people, you could easily look at stats of the shallow hurdle. They don't win at Cheltenham and stuff like that. But
Nonsense.
Yeah, but sometimes you've got to just look at a horse. Like, this is no average winner of the shallow hurdle. He's won about 10 lengths. And the last two winners of the shallow hurdle, I think, were Time Hill and Champ, who were arguably quite unlucky not to win their novice hurdles at Cheltenham the year they went to them. So I do understand the stat. I just think this horse is above average. Just the way he jumps, the way he travels. I don't know. I just think he's an absolutely super horse, and I believe him and Bob Bollinger probably should be each a 2, and Gallard de Menil maybe a point bigger than them if I was making the market. And at the moment, you can get a point bigger on Brave Man's Game, and I think that's wrong. I think 7-2, 4-1's a decent price, and I back him at that price.
Brilliant. Mark, what's your thoughts on the Ballymore?
Yeah, well, I was for Gallard de Menil in the middle of the winter, but I think he had a hard race in the Dublin Racing Festival. I would worry about that race, leaving a mark on him so close to it, because it was hard, it was tough. And I know Willie Mullins in his interview, he looked like he felt it was tough. I thought Rachel Blackmore let the cat out of the bag, and not like Karen, normally she talks her horses down, but she really talked highly of Bob Bollinger. I was quite surprised with how confident she seemed on Bob Bollinger. And probably for a win bet, I'd go for Bob Bollinger. But I honestly, and I know people will laugh at me, I honestly think Bear Girls, although he demolishes hurdles and he doesn't jump very well, his form is outstanding. The horses he's beating are winning all over the place all the time. Like that Gull Road that he beat has now won 2 handicaps at Newbury, and is starting to look like he's been backed as an outsider for the Supreme now that Gill Road, and Beargill's beat him easy. I think he could be an outsider that could get involved, but he seriously needs to jump better than he has. But I think he's an outsider that could get involved. But I think for a win bet, if someone pinned me down, I would go with Bob Ollinger, but just.
I'm in the Bob Ollinger camp. I have been since last year. I think this horse is a superstar in waiting. His run against Fernley Hall over 2 miles was remarkable. I know he just got beaten, but that was a tremendous run. Good in the maiden hurdle, then in the Not Laws and Nace. I just thought they showed signs of being an absolute machine. Great race. Top 3 the bet, and I don't think there's a lot between them, but I just think Bob Ollinger is the one. I would be wrong to go against him. I've tipped him up at 16-1 to win any race in the first week of our show, and I'm not going off the train now. I think Bob Ollinger is a super chance. He's probably my best. He's probably my nap of the week, actually. I just think he's a tremendous horse. So I'm with Bob Ollinger.
Just one thing, sorry, Scott. Just with Bob Ollinger, just going back to linking it with the Supreme, do you not think with Henry de Bromhead, if he really, really thought Appreciated was windy in the Supreme, would you not run him in it? Because the Supreme on paper looks, and this horse is not short of gears. I know what Callum said is right in terms of it probably Appreciate a fence and maybe a trip in time, but like he too has only just been beaten by Fernie Hollow. And if they really thought Appreciated was windy, would you not run him against him? Because Brave Man's Game and Gallard de Manil, like that's a tough race. Now he still might win it, but it looks tougher on paper than maybe running against one horse in the Supreme.
Yeah, we just think Bob Ollinger's better over 2.5.
Yeah, I think Henry de Bromhead's keen to run a irascible in the Supreme. I think he believes in better ground that he can get a lot closer to Appreciate it, the tactics. But on Mark's point as well, I've got Kesko and Risk outside the top 3 here. I think he could run well in the Ballymore, step up and trip in better ground. I think he'd be interesting.
I think that's a very good point you've made there about Bob Ollinger for the Supreme, because I think I have mentioned that as well. He does have gears for 2 miles, and I really again, it is a poor Supreme, and it's the Ballymore looks stacked. It's interesting to see can I get that point, but I'm in the Bob Ollinger camp. I'm not going to shy away from it. I think he's a superstar. Mark, who we choosing here?
Oh, I've already spoken, but I went for Bob Ollinger and Bear Gills each way.
Right, Andrew?
Brave Man's Game, but Bob Ollinger has a very good chance.
Gary?
Yeah, all over Bob Ollinger for the win, but I would give Kesko and Risk a little pip each way.
And Callum?
On the same fence as Andrew, but I'm leaning towards Bob Ollinger instead.
Brilliant. We'll move on to the Thursday where we have the Mayor's Novice Huddle. We've seen some really short price winners of this, but it's 5-1 the field this year. Royal Kahala and Hookup lead the market 5-1. Rosie's Hollow 7-1. Galwan 9s. The Glanson Queen 10s. Glens of Antrim 12s. And 14-1 Bar. Andrew, what's your thoughts on this race? It's not the best renewal we've ever seen in this race.
No, not in the slightest bit. Form kind of all, there's an awful lot at the top of the market. They've been beating each other, which is never good. I think I like Royal Kahala. She will run. That's been confirmed this week, which is great. Rosie's Hollow is a very good mare. I'd be very, very shocked if they take her over, though. And as a result, I've backed her at much bigger prices, but I think this price on Glens of Antrim is going to absolutely collapse. Genuinely, I reckon this mare could go off near on favourite on the day. Just the form with the geldings looks strong, I believe. The Statler form looks good at Christmas. Then the second to Mr. Incredible. Both times, I think, over 2.5 miles. She was maybe a little bit soft in the finish. Her jumping could also do with a bit of polishing, to be fair. But there's only 2 hurdles in the last 7 furlongs of the Mare's Novice. Back down to 2 mile 1. I think she's got a cracking chance. And I think you can still get 12-1 about her. She's confirmed by Willie Mullins that she'll be on the boat. I was just looking at a stable tour before we came on today of Willie Mullins on Racing TV. And he was saying that we haven't seen the best of her. And with the way Willie Mullins is, we usually see the best of them when it comes to Cheltenham. So it wouldn't surprise me if this horse runs a big race. And it certainly wouldn't surprise me if she's well backed on the day.
Callum's putting his thumbs up for the Glens of Antrim vote, so I think we know where he's going. What's your thoughts, Callum?
Yeah, I think she's a clear bet of this race. I think the top of the market, I think, your Royal Kahalas, Rosie's Hollow, Galwa, Castra Vetera, who I liked initially. I think the mare's taking on the mare's form is much of a muchness this year. And as Andrew said, I think Glens of Antrim's form, I think Statler and Mr. Incredible is really good, and it's been really underrated. And I'm on at fancy prices as well, and I think it will get back to him. William Milne said that it's a perfect pedigree, and I know it's over 2 miles, but it's mares novices, and you really have to stay. Concertisa did stay and broke everything from the front. There's a lot of talented 2-milers that just can't handle it. It was too early in their preparation. Epitone, I think, was a classic example of it. They just went too quick, and she was just a bit too brittle on the day, and she just gave up the ghost. I think Glens of Antrim has that kind of battle-hardened staying quality about her in an open race. She can stay further as well. I think she ticks a lot of boxes, and I think anything double figures is a really good bet.
Brilliant. Mark, what's your thoughts on the Mares Novice?
Yeah, I went through the Mares Novice last week in my own video. I came up with a short list of 3. I really like Rosie's Hollow. I think she's got a progressive profile of, I thought her educational first run in 4th was really a bit, well, I was watching Delvino and Castra Vetera in the race, but I noted Rosie's Hollow not really getting a whole lot of effort from Mark Walsh in behind. Then she came out and she's won her maiden hurdle, and then she won the Grade 2. I think she's progressing. I think it'll be very, very noticeable. If she comes from Jonathan Sweeney's yard as 1 horse to the festival, I think it's going to be very telling. And I think if she doesn't come, that Glens of Antrim is the bet, because JP McManus is not going to leave Rosie's Hollow at home unless he feels Glens of Antrim can win. So for me, and the British horse that I looked at was the Glancing Queen. She was the 3rd one on the short list, but I didn't like the defeat at Exeter, and if there was no excuse for it, I think JP McManus will win the race, and it's either going to be Rosie's Hollow if she comes, or Glens of Antrim.
Brilliant. Gary, what's your thoughts?
My bet in this race is kind of, I wouldn't say it's necessarily down the pan, but I'm not 100% if she'll run here, because she could go in the Boodles, and that was Riviere de Tel, but I didn't like I didn't like her last run at all, I'm afraid. I was expecting her to win that. It'll certainly be a lot better. She jumped right and wasn't too fluent over a few. But I've already got on her at a bigger price for this. So, I'm happy to keep that price. But right now, I probably, if I was betting again from fresh, I probably wouldn't stab on again right now. But I do think she's capable of better receiving the weight here. So again, no idea if this is where she's going to run, but if she does, I think she's fingers crossed she could get back into the thick of things. The other one I thought was a decent each way price was Galwa, 8-1. Obviously, it wasn't too fluent the last day. Now Royal Kahala favourite here, only beat her by a length, and there's a massive gulf in price. I think you're looking 4.5 to 1 to 8-1. So I think Galwa's is worth an each way bet. But to be honest, let's say this is a race that, having added that bet quite a long time ago, I was struggling to come up with something, but I couldn't knock what the lads have said there. I think they've, I was almost bringing my Bet 365 up to have a bit of a dab there while they were talking. They've talked me into it that much, but there were the notes I came up with.
Brilliant. I like Riviere de Tel as well. I was disappointed like yourself with the run last time. 25-1. I know she gets the £8 juvenile allowance, which I think might help her. I don't have a strong opinion in the top. Callum's going to talk.
Is it 25s now?
Yeah, it's 25s now, yeah.
Sorry, I've got 14s up on my screen, so that was why I was saying that about the price, but 25s is not bad at all.
I've got 25s here with William Huddle. So Glens of Antrim, I think, is probably just sneaking into my head with looking at how much everybody's... It's not everybody's talking up Glens of Antrim. She has really good form behind Statler. I don't have a strong opinion in this race, so apart from that, so I'm kind of keen with that. I'm happy with my 25-1 Riviere de Tel, but it'll be an interesting race. Hookup, I think, is a really interesting one. I think the jumps really are just not a great jumper, so I think she will enjoy the fact there's only 2 hurdles in last time. I know Gavin Lynch has been very vocal about that he thinks she's got a great chance because of that. I am sitting on the fence here, but I would say Riviera to Tell each way. Callum?
Glenn's of Antrim each way. I think it's the best each way play of the week.
Brilliant. Gary?
Yeah, 25s. I'll stick with Riviera to Tell each way.
Brilliant. Andrew?
Yeah, same as Callum. Glenn's Antrim each way.
Brilliant. Mark?
Yeah, I think I'd have to go with Glen Savantrim each way as well, because I don't know if Rosie's Hollow's going to run. So I'd have to go with Glen Savantrim because I know she's going to run each way.
Brilliant. Let's move on to the Friday, the race before the Gold Cup, the Albert Bartlett Novices Huddle. It's always a tough race to get the winner of. Last year was probably the one where we'd say it was one of the best Albert Bartletts we've seen in a long time. But this year, we don't have a Monkfish, we don't have a Time Hill, our latest exhibition. Starter leads the market 5-1. Fakira 7s, Torograph 8s, Barbados Bucks 9-1, Aleph Elite 10-1, Farouk Delaine 12s, and 16-1 Bar. Mark, how much are you looking forward to this race?
Not a lot, really, Scott, to be honest. I've done my brains on this race.
I think I might go and have a break for a minute.
I've done my brains on Gentleman's Game in this race already. I put up on the videos with Gary and Andrew Fakira at 25-1. Maybe with Elliott's stable being out of form at the time of that race when he was fourth to Gallard Duminil, maybe he isn't just going to get outpaced. Maybe he can show better form, and maybe he could win. He's possibly the best of the Irish, but the one I'll come up with, I don't know if he's going to go in this race, but I was impressed with Ardramel at Warwick. Just stayed on and wouldn't let horses by him for Tom Lacey. I think at 16-1, he's a half decent each way bet, and I'd probably go with him now. Ardramel, 16-1 for Tom Lacey. I'll go with him each way.
Brilliant. Callum, what's your thoughts on Albert Bartlett?
Yeah, there's a good question here from someone that's watching. Daniel Flanagan said, what would be your best bet of the 2022 festival? And I think Fakira would be ideal for National Hunt Chase next year, not for an Albert Bartlett, because I think it just stays on, and the race will be over. He did that in that 2 mile 6 race where he just never looked involved. He's just going to run on to a place, and I can see him do the same thing here. Statler's a bit short, but I think he's got a brilliant profile for this, and I can't see him being out the top 3. He's almost becoming a bet at 11-2 now, even though he's a bit of a tentative favourite with the rest of them kind of in behind. Can't have Barbados Bucks. Don't like his profile coming in. I think he's got a bit to find. Aleph Philippe's been well backed, but I think he needs soft ground. I think it needs to start raining for him. Torograph was the one I quite liked. He ran quite well at Fairyhouse. 3 miles taken to him. I think he might be the best of the Sneezy Foster pair now, because Farrick Delane probably won't go, and I think his form is better right-handed. Out of the Paul Nicholls duo, I would give 3 under through 5 a chance. I thought his Musselburgh run was good. I think they've come on for that, and the plan was initially to put him to Aintree, but I think they've come full circle now, and I think he's going to go here at 16-1. I think he's got a solid each way chance on better ground, because that really suited him up north. He kind of had a look around, but he was comfortably the best horse in the race. He looked quite progressive. I think there's a lot more to come from him. And the other one I would give a shout out at a price is Streets of Doyen. He was only last seen under John McConnell at Cheltenham, I think about October time, and he won quite well course and distance. And I think the ground's going to come right for him. I think he's just been totally forgotten about 25-1. He's got a decent chance. So those are the two of the prices I would quite like. I think 3 under through 5 and Streets of Doyen.
Brilliant. Gary, what's your thoughts on this race?
Strong fancy for me here, although it's just been shot down in flames a little bit by Callum, but Barbados Bucks is my quite strong fancy here. Paul Nicholls, obviously trained, a little bit similar profile. I don't mean him in how he runs, but in what he's done so far in terms of Monkfish last year, in that he hasn't been tested at graded company. Monkfish hadn't before he came into this last year. I think he's a cracking horse. He's won all 3 starts at 3 mile, latter at Kempton. I think 4th that day, came out and won a handicap after that. No, sorry, was 2nd. It was under supervision, came out and was 2nd at Warwick. in a decent race. His last run, he was very impressive. When Harry Cobden asked him, powered away up to the line again, strong finisher like a few that I've put up. It's what you've got to look for at Cheltenham with that hill. Obviously bred out of the same family as Big Bucks. If he can be anywhere near his level over 3 miles, we're going to be looking at a superstar. Whether he can live up to that is another question, but I think he's a very good bet here.
Brilliant. Andrew, what's your thoughts on the battle?
Yeah, I've backed Statler at a bigger price. So I backed Statler after Christmas when he won that maiden hurdle. I still think at 11-2, like as Callum was alluding to there. Now, I wouldn't be a massive fan of like a muggy each way bet, but there's just no way he's finishing out of the 4. I don't believe. I think he's safe as houses to run a big race. So he'd probably be my main selection, and also I'd be with Callum. I'm very keen on this Streets of Doyen at 25-1. When you look back to September time, he beat Florian Porter 5 lengths. He then went on to beat Fergal O'Brien's horse Polish, I think, at the October meeting. He's gone on to win a Class 2 handicap since. He then had a pipe opener there last week, I believe, at Nace over 2 miles. It's off the bridle after around 10 yards. He's a stout stayer. I would give him a decent chance at 25s, especially if the ground was coming up good. And I must say, Scott Fakira will be joining Santini at the start of the London Marathon, because he could be running over 10 miles and he'd still be too slow. I can't see the angle behind him at all. I just think he's so slow.
I'm with you in that. I think Statler as well. I never ever liked favourites in the ballot, apart from last year when I backed Time Hill. But Barbados Box, I like as a horse. I think he's going to be one to watch next year, but I just think this year might be too early. I think he's a really good horse. So Alaphilippe's one that's followed me for a while, and I've followed this horse since I've watched him in a car park at Ayr Racecourse, and I backed him at 40-1 that day. Standing behind Callum, where I'm exactly the position I was standing in where I picked this horse. Really good, but again, it's soft ground, and it was every one of his wins has been on soft ground, and I highly doubt we're going to get soft ground on the Friday. I've also tipped Ngolo for this race. Now, again, it was after his performance against Ballyadam. I thought he was screaming out for a trip, but I'm amazed they've not tried him over 3 miles up until now. I think all reports says he's going for this race, but again, it was a thing of I thought he was going to run over 3 miles before this. I'm just kind of worried now about him. One I like at 33-1 for Henry de Bromhead, called Atlantic Fairy. I think he's very interesting. I don't think the form's worked out very good, but I thought he travelled really well that day, and I think they've got a really good profile when it comes to 3 mile novice hurdles, as we've seen with Manel Ando. So I would possibly say I would maybe go Atlantic Fairy each way, but I'm happy with my Alaphilippe at 40-1, and if he runs into a place, brilliant. I'm really excited about that. But I am going to pass it over to everybody else. Callum, what's your pick for the Albert Bartlett?
3 under through 5 and Streets of Doyen, both each way.
Brilliant. Gary?
Yeah, Barbados Bucks to win.
Brilliant. Andrew?
Statler and Streets of Doyen each way.
And Mark?
Ardramel each way.
Brilliant. We'll move on to the novice chases, and we will go to the race of the week, in my opinion, the Sporting Life Arkle. Shishkin 4-5, Energamine 9-4, All Mankind 15-2, Captain Guinness 14-1, and 20-1 bar. Andrew, before I get your thoughts on this race, how do you pronounce Energamine?
Well, I've gone for Energamine.
I know there was a debate in your last one of your previous about that.
Oh yeah, jeez. Oh yes, the Energamine. Yeah, that's not how you pronounce it, but they love it. No, so some lads come up with that, which is good crack, to be fair. Yeah, I've had a sore arse all year sitting on the fence with this one, and I'm not getting off it. I don't really want to pick between the two of them. I think both of them are very good. I've backed Captain Guinness in the race each way. Just sometimes these big matchups and big races can sometimes fall apart at Cheltenham. Things can happen, especially in 2 mile novice chases. And just if disasters were to happen and horses were to fall or be brought down or anything, Captain Guinness is probably the most likely to sweep up the goods. He's been a bit unlucky himself. Can't have All Mankind personally. I think he's just too much of a tearaway. Can't see him getting home against classy.
He'd go in the 100 metres instead of London Marathon.
Exactly. Geez, if it was a 3 furlong race, he'd win. But I've backed Captain Guinness each way, and I'm trying my best to not have to pick between the top two.
It's the toughest duel of the week. But Callum, what's your thoughts on the Apple?
No, it's not.
Okay.
Gary's right for the wrong reasons, because I'm all over Shishkin for this. I do think he's a class above. He's the only horse that Nicky Henderson has had a clear run with all season. Mm-hmm. His yard seems to be very up and down, but Shishkin's been campaigned exactly like Altior, and I think he'll just track Energamine, who will probably track All Mankind. And I think on better ground, I think ground is really important here. If the world is good as in the ground, and Shishkin is even money or better, I think I'll be piling on him. I think he is the real deal. You have to take it a little bit in trust in what he's done, but I really do think he is a bit special. I think he is in the Altior bracket. And I think the fact that they've managed to keep him sound when a lot of Nicky Henderson stars have been very up and down this season is a really positive sign. I think he's going to peak for a career best, and I think there's going to be a serious performance here. I do take Andrew's point of it's a bit like sitting down, having your day for Super Sunday, and like Man United are playing Liverpool, and it turns out to be a 0-0 draw and it all falls apart. I hope that's not the case here. I hope we really do get the race that we deserve, and I think Shishkin's a likely winner, and I just think better ground. I think he'll turbo like Altior up the hill and win.
Brilliant. Mark, what's your thoughts on the Apple?
Well, I wouldn't be putting a penny on the race. I think they probably should be about 6-4 joints. I agree with Callum. I just think it's all ground dependent. I would think that if it came up really soft, the Energamine might have a bit of just be able to win it. But I think it'll be better ground, and I think Shishkin's got the better speed, and I think Shishkin would just about be my choice, but I would not be parting with cash in this race. I think it's a race to watch and enjoy, because if you're not on one of them at a decent price, then there's no point in going in now. But I would just favour Shishkin.
Brilliant. Gary, you shot me down saying it wasn't the duel of the week. What's your thoughts on this race?
Listen, this boy is an absolute superstar. Energamine, the sky is the absolute limit with this guy, and I know the likes of Mark are laughing because I haven't shut up about him since putting him up at 20-1. But he's going to absolutely trounce this race. He's far better. I don't even care about Shishkin. He's far better than a lot of them. I truly think the sky's the limit with him. I think we're going to see some. The future is just going to be brilliant for him, as far as I'm concerned. Getting off my trail of thought that he's just going to win, like I've told everybody forever. The bet in the race for me is the reverse forecast, because there's nothing in behind them that's going to beat either of them. So the reverse forecast is the bet to play for me in terms of safe money. Now, it's not going to pay a massive amount, but it's going to pay better than betting one of them to win and possibly losing. So, but I honestly do believe that he is an absolute. I do maybe see the side of it with if it comes up good. But you know, I think they'll first day it'll be watered. I don't think we'll see anything better than good to soft, and I don't have any problems with him on that. I think Mankind will actually help him. I think he'll let Mankind go out in front. I think they'll just track him in behind, and I think he'll come to the last mile or so, and maybe not mile, maybe 3/4 of a mile, and I think that's when they'll power on, and I think they'll have Shishkin beaten from the last. I think he's a super. His times have been ridiculous. His times have been absolutely insane. Now Shishkin's done nothing wrong. All right, he's won his races. You can probably go back to a couple of his races where he's probably. I haven't actually gone back and looked what he's traded at in running, but there's a couple of little moments there which I don't know you're like sort of grabbing at things, but there's a couple of little moments mid-race where he's not looked as comfortable, whereas Energamine's been absolutely flawless as far as I'm concerned, and he's, like I say, his times have been phenomenal, and I'm all over him.
I think, I'm keen on. I think that's a really hard race, but I just don't see a situation where Shishkin doesn't win, because I think All Mankind is an absolute lunatic, and if Energamine, I don't see Energamine not challenging for the lead, and I think Energamine could get distracted by how crazy All Mankind could make it. So does he challenge All Mankind for the lead? If there's a bookmaker out there that is offering prices and All Mankind falling, that's my bet in this race. I genuinely don't think All Mankind will stay on his feet because he's nuts, absolute nuts. Shishkin, I just think he'll play into Shishkin's hand. I wouldn't say he was brilliant at Doncaster until maybe the fourth last, and he absolutely just took it by the scruff of the neck and just jumped at defence beautifully. I don't think we'll ever see a chasing performance that we did at Kempton when he just absolutely stormed home. Brilliant performance. Not a lot of people mentioned just how impressive he was last year on that Supreme. Everything went wrong for him, and since then he's just been outstanding. I think Shishkin wins this. Captain Guinness, if Captain Guinness stays on his feet, I think he's a really good chance each way. But I think it's just a race to sit and enjoy. I don't need to have a bet in this race to enjoy it. But I think Shishkin will win. I'm going with Shishkin, Captain Guinness each way. Andrew?
Captain Guinness each way.
Gary?
Energumene wins.
Carl?
Shishkin for me.
Mark?
Yeah, Shishkin for me as well.
Brilliant. We'll move on to the Wednesday where we have the Brown Advisory, Novices Chase, Monkfish, the love of Callum's lives, 4-6, Royal Pagaille 8-1, the Big Breakaway 9-1, Eclat de Rire 11s and 14-1 bar. Callum, the floor's yours. Tell us why Monkfish is the next big thing.
I love Monkfish. The thing was he kind of just got the job done. He was workmanlike. He looked maybe a bit slow at times. He didn't look like the superstar that Envoy Allen and Shishkin could be. And then in the Foga, he put up a tremendous performance when people were kind of, the trips a wee bit short. Does he have the gears to beat latest exhibition? And he just dispelled it. He showed his real true quality. I think he could win the Gold Cup this year. And potential on the back of that run. He's probably the bank of the week, although I would respect the Big Breakaway if he puts it all together. I think he's a serious engine, but the doubts are his jumping and the Tizard's form just in general. It's just a lot of things you got to put trust. I think Eclat de Rire would want to cut in the ground, but I would respect him from the front. I think he's got a chance. I'm gutted about Cobbler's Way. I thought Cobbler's Way from the Bartlett would really improve for a fence. I haven't seen him all season. Obviously, something's up there. I think he's probably a better horse than Eclat de Rire in the long term. But we don't know about that situation. So I think Monkfish wins, and I think he's probably the biggest bank of the week.
Brilliant. Andrew, what's your thoughts on the Brown Advisory, formerly the RSA?
Yeah, look, keep it short and sweet. I think Monkfish wins. I think he's by far the best novice chaser over 3 miles, and the second best novice chaser over 3 miles isn't going to run in the race. Unfortunately, I'd head the latest exhibition fan club, and he'd definitely come second in this race if he was there. But they're deciding to go and go to Ferryhouse and not run against him. I can't blame them for doing that. But I think that leaves them well clear. Because to be honest, if Monkfish wasn't in the race, latest exhibition, I think would be short. And I think he'd hold an awful lot of the rest of them anyway. So Monkfish, yeah, I'd echo what Callum says. He'd be one of the strongest chances of the week. If he doesn't go in, there'll be a few long faces.
Mark, what's your thoughts on this race?
Yeah, pretty much the same as the guys, really. I mean, it's hard to find a horse to beat Monkfish, in truth. I wanted to be with the Big Breakaway, but the stable form's just so bad that it's impossible to recommend a bet on him. If they started having winners, I would have a go at Big Breakaway. I liked his win at Cheltenham this season over fences. It was really good, but the Tizard form isn't good enough. And Monkfish does look, I mean, he's about £10 clear anyway, and the Big Breakaway stable out of form, so it's got to be Monkfish. It has to be.
Brilliant. Gary, are you with the lads in Monkfish?
Yeah, how can you not be? My worry is going forward with Monkfish, to be honest. This race, the horses that come out of it, and I had quite a big, not a debate, but a good chat on Twitter when I put out a few lads, like, you look back at the horses that have won this now. At the time, Champ hadn't come out. Obviously, he could end up going on to being a Gold Cup winner, which will be a different story altogether. But top of the game's been injured ever since. Presenting Percy had loads of trouble afterwards. You go back as far as Mike Bite and Black Lion. Yeah, they've come out and won races, but not this guy's meant to be a superstar, and I hope he is. I hope in a year or so's time, we're seeing him and Envoy Allen take on in some class races, because that's what we all want to see. But I can't even. How do you find anything to even have a stab at him at? The one to go at is the without market if you've got something that you fancy. But I mean, I know Mark said there, the big breakaway Tizards are really struggling for form, but the big breakaway and Sporting John are 6. Only 2 horses in the last century have won this from under 7, so 6 and under. So 6-year-olds have a terrible record in the race. Yeah, if he ran here, and he could end up going a handicap one, I think could end up running a decent race. Is a chance for him going up to the National Hunt of the Said or a handicap remastered? I would actually quite fancy him if he ran here, but I don't think. I think this is probably least likely target. So yeah, Monkfish wins, simple as that. But he's not a better, is he? At 8-11.
I think Monkfish will win. My advice would be just watch this superstar and hopefully he bolts up. The big breakaway I've tapped up earlier on in our series, I think, again, just jump. It's all in the jump, and he's got a serious engine, as it's shown in the Cottle Star. He was to finish the way he did and not jump a fence was brilliant, but he needs to jump. He jumped really well in his first beginner's race at Cheltenham, so I don't know where it's going, but I think he will improve. I think he's probably going to finish second, but Monkfish will win. We're all agreeing Monkfish?
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
We'll move on. Brilliant. We'll move on to the Mass Novices Chase, where hopefully we see, Envoy Allen is this type of superstar he is. Mark, how much are we in love with Envoy Allen?
I'm not really his biggest fan. I mean, I realise he's a very good horse, but I'm not in the fan club as such. But he'll romp this race. There's absolutely nothing in this race to beat him. I mean, we're saying about switching stables. I mean, he could be parked down the beach for a week, and I think he'd still win this race because he's that far ahead of them. He is a very good horse. I think he saves a bit for himself, and I think that'll make him last a lot longer than some horses who, take it out themselves. I think he's very, very good. I wouldn't say I'm in the fan club, but there's no knocking him. He's unbeaten, and he's a very good horse. And obviously, the horses don't want to go near him because they know they can't beat him. I would have gone with Chamblou each way, but I think he's left that race at Sandown. I thought that was a really grueling race in deep ground, and I can't see him reproducing the form so quickly after. So Envoy Allen will win, and he's probably a good price even at 4 to 6.
Gary, what's your thoughts on the Marsh?
Oh, Envoy wins, but it's a betting without for me, and I've got absolute cliff horse in here that we've spoke about a few times. The absolute nut job of Asterion Phalange might turn up here, and if he does, I'll bet him because I bet him every time. I've just got this thing that I love him, but he's just a psychopath, isn't he? But him, my 2 that I fancy outside of him, outside of Envoy, betting without. A few still raffles for Nicky Henderson each way. I've already bet him, and Asterion Phalange. I know he's a nut job, and I think he's about 33 to 1 at the minute. 4th behind Monkfish at the Dublin Racing Festival. At least he completed a race for once in the floor gas. I just, if he does turn up here, I can see him running a good race. If he gets round and doesn't, he might wipe Envoy Allen out anyway. That might be a way. That might be how they're looking at this. He might just go for the wipeout for the win. But no, he's just a horse. I love it. He is a cliff horse. He absolutely devastated me last year. I was on him at a massive price for the Supreme, and I was just absolutely gutted after the first race. So, but yeah, I would live up to potential.
Brilliant. Andrew, what's your thoughts on the Marsh?
Yeah, I think Envoy Allen wins. Even with the stable change, I think, as Mark said, I think he's so far ahead. If you were desperate for a bet in the betting without market, I'd probably put a few quid on Chantry House. I thought he was quite good in Wetherby. I know he was poor at Cheltenham earlier in the year, but there was a massive drift on him that day, which would indicate that they weren't perhaps too confident. He was good the last day. He beat an Evan Williams horse, Coconut Splash, who's not a bad type. So he might chase him home. But it's a race I probably will just sit back and hope that Envoylen does it again.
Likes Cheltenham as well, Andrew, doesn't he? Chantry House, you can't knock his Cheltenham form.
Yeah, exactly. So look,
he's in them all.
Yeah, look, he might run into the frame or come second or something like that. Yeah. But it's not. To be honest, when you're scratching around the betting without markets, it's usually a sign that you should probably leave the race alone. To be honest.
Brilliant, Callum. You in the Envoylen camp?
Yeah, I think he'll win. He's comfortably clear. I think the penny is starting to drop with Chantry House. I agree with Andrew. I think he's second best here. I thought he toyed with coconut splashing in a similar way that Envoylen did with Fielded Aries recently. I thought he get tight to the last and then just powered away by four or five lengths. He was third in the Supreme of 140. He is quite unexposed. I think he's kind of similarly coming in unexposed over fences. So I think I've got him 16-1 each way. No runner, no bet. I'm quite happy with that, but I do accept Envoylen's definitely the likely winner.
Yeah, I think
what's best price on him at the minute, Envoylen?
I've got one here at 46.
Because the fact that Energumene and Monkfish are the two in behind him, he's going to shorten massively when declarations come out. So he could actually be worth a little double, even though he's short. Because he's going to be really
I've found 8 to 11, so again, it's a really good.
He will shorten big time.
Yeah, he's going to be one. I think he could go off and be 2 to 5 easily. We'll just mention quickly the National Hunt Chase before we move on to. We'll give everybody a shot with their handicaps. I'm really hoping this race kind of cuts up, but Royal Pagaille leads it at 15 to 8, Galvin 7 to 2. A big gamble in Longhouse Poet 8 to 1, along with Latest Exhibition and 11 to 1 Bar. Callum, what's your thoughts on this race? I know I'm very keen on Galvin in this race, but Royal Pagaille has thrown a spanner in the works.
Yeah, a rare race that I'm quite keen to take on the front two. I think Galvin's a bit of a doubtful stay, and I think Royal Pagaille's been flattered by a terrible Peter Marsh in the one, and I don't think he's going to get soft ground here. So I'd be a bit kind of meh on him, a bit lukewarm on him if he goes really short here. I think I tipped up Happy Go Lucky ages ago for this 25s. I think he'd have a chance in decent ground, but he seems to be going to the Ultima. I think Remaster's another exciting one at a price that you could take if he went up here, and Lord Royal as well. I think because your amateurs aren't going, I think with Paul Townend on board, I think he's got some serious tap staying potential if they can get him round. So yeah, I'd probably take a few darts at a bit of a price here in this race and take on the front two.
Brilliant. Gary, what's your thoughts on the National Hunt Chase?
If Royal Pagaille goes here, he'll wallop the lot, is my opinion. I absolutely love him, but I think if I owned him, although I've put him up for this, if I owned him, he'd going to the Gold Cup, like we've said already. But that last win, carrying about £16 more than second and third and beaten by about 16 lengths as well, was absolutely tremendous. It takes some doing that. And he's one, let's say, we've just spoke about Monkfish and Envoylen going into next season. You know, he's one that could add a very interesting angle to a Gold Cup going forward, even if he doesn't run this year. What I would say is, been a lot of money for him recently in the National Hunt Chase. So rumours are starting to go around that he could end up turning up here. And I'm on him at 10 to 1. So whether I'd get dug in again at these prices, probably not. But I would, for my betting sake, I'd love to see him turn up here because I think he'd be a very, very likely winner.
Yeah. Mark, what's your thoughts on this race?
I think if Royal Pagaille goes here, that Rich Ritchie's missing a trick and not going for the Gold Cup. Truthfully, to be that sort of rating and go in the National Hunt Chase, I think he's rated 165, and he's going to run in a National Hunt Chase just to try and win a race at Cheltenham when he's a third season novice. It's just craziness. It's the typical Rich Ritchie thing. You know, they'd run in a selling plate if they could at Cheltenham. But for me, I'll be honest with the people, and my subscribers will now find out that I had the video made up to put up a bet on Longhouse Poet for the National Hunt Chase last week, and then I found out Royal Pagaille was probably going to go in this, and the price started to collapse on it. So I didn't post the video. But Longhouse Poet's form is progressive. Martin Brazel's getting winners. The form last time out against Run Wild Fred and the Big Dog is really good. It reads really well. And I thought that he was a really good bet. But with this favourite coming back into the reckoning and going so short, I didn't put the bet up. But I think Longhouse Poet each way is the bet.
Brilliant. Andrew, you got a thought on the National Hunt Chase?
Yeah, I'd be similar enough to Callum here. I'd be taking on the two. This race just in years gone by has been a bit of a deathbed for these short price favourites and potentially the class horse in inverted commas. I certainly got my fingers burnt on carefully selected in the race last year. I just wouldn't want to be taken. I think if Royal Pagaille did turn up here, he'd be 6-4 or something, which seems very skimpy for a 3-6 Novice Chase. The two other Gordon Elliott horses in here really interested me, and if either of them turned up, I'd play them. Scaria 10 and Pencil Full of Lead. They both have other entries. A Pencil Full of Lead might rock them the Brown Advisory. Scaria 10 might be in the Ultima, but I've heard that they were somewhat siding with the National Hunt Chase with Scaria 10, which I think is fascinating. Thought he ran a super race behind a Cladareer the last day. Looks the type of horse that might appreciate a big staying trip. And if either of them were to turn up, I'd back them against the front two.
I think that's interesting what Andrew says there, because Gordon Elliott doesn't tend to fire too many bullets at this race. In fact, he's had races where he's not had any in. So I think it's interesting if he does stick a Scaria 10 in there. Gordon Elliott, he's had 8 in the last 10. 4 have been pulled up and 4 have won. So, he doesn't tend to throw too many in it.
I love
just
Galvin.
on this race.
There you go, sorry.
Can I go back in on this? Just my phone just says that Galvin's been moved yard to I don't know where.
I think it's John Ferguson.
Yeah, so it could be that Ascaria 10 does go now.
Yeah.
Because Elliott won't have a runner.
Right.
That could change a lot, because I had Ascaria 10 down as a handicap bet. But yeah, and the more horses that come into this, the more the bet on Longhouse Poet starts to go out. But yeah, if Galvin moves yard, it could be that Ascaria 10 does run.
Yeah. A spanner's been thrown in the works for me regarding Ascaria 10 with what you've just said there. I didn't even think about that. But Galvin, I love him. I thought last year his running behind Imperial Aura was really good. He's done his 4 runs early. He's fresh. He's been very, very impressive at Cheltenham. I think Galvin's a great horse. Royal Pagaille, I've got him at 9-1 to win any race, but I'm hoping he goes Gold Cup. But I think he would take all the beating here. As we say, how many horses have ran over this kind of distance before they go to the National Hunt Chase? I think he's got tremendous.
He ran a 171 the last year. How many of these are capable of running a 171?
I know.
No, it's insane.
And I think as well, with the Riches, I don't know if you will agree, but I think they'll be desperate to win a Gold Cup after not running the Tour. So I thought they would maybe lean towards a Gold Cup here, but again, I'm quite happy to sit and watch either Royal Pagaille or Galvin. I've got a good bet on them both, so I'll be happy. I'm hoping Ascaria 10 goes to the Ultima, but we'll touch on that in a few minutes. We'll move on to the handicaps, and I'm going to give everybody as long as they want to talk about their handicap picks. We'll start off with Gary. What is your best bets for the other races we haven't mentioned and the handicaps?
I'm not going to go into the details of why, because I'll be here all night, but my handicap picks are probably, if Saldier turns up in the County Hurdle, which is talk of, Willie Mullins has won this with top weight before, so I would be behind Saldier in that. If he doesn't turn up, I'll be on Kide Boy. I'm going to absolutely murder this name, but Tamarok de Mathen, I think it's called, in the Grand Annual, is my selection there. Espoir de Guy in the Plate is another one I'm really strongly fancying. And I would give a little tickle to a horse from the yard that my mum and dad have horses with, Phil Kirby's Bushy Park in the Pertemps. Really good form this season, won his last 6 and will be really low in the weights if he gets in. I think he should get in just about, but will be really low in the weights and is in cracking form. So there will be my handicaps, mate.
Brilliant. Callum, what's your handicap picks for this year's festival?
Yeah, quite a few. Happy Go Lucky in the Ultima. Got a bit of 16s when I knew was it going National Hunt Chase. I think 147 is a very manageable mark. I think Kim Bailey's kind of campaign and like Imperial Aura, they bypass Warwick, the race at Next Destination, beat Fiddle on the roof with because of heavy ground there. I think that was a sensible move. It's protected his mark. 147, I think that's winnable in the Ultima. Grand One, the Coral Cup is of huge interest as well. It's been on the radar for a long time this season. I was a bit worried that he might go County Huddle, but he seems to be going here. Henderson's won 4 of the last 9 though in the Coral Cup, and I think Craig Nish is the best of his. Although I think it should be Champagne Platinum because I think he's the best handicapped Huddle horse in Britain at the moment. But he's going to go to Per Tomps. Zan's in the Grand Daniel was one that I managed to put up at 25 to 1 before price-wise cottoned on as well. He's ludicrously well handicapped in comparison to Ibilio and Sky Pirate. He was travelling really well last time at Cheltenham. Didn't make a mistake till he flattened the second last, fell. Hasn't been seen since. But he's now £16 better off with Sky Pirate and £17 off with Ibilio. Sands rated 145. He had to give Sky Pirate £9 and he had to give Ibilio £11. He's now £6 well off with both. And he was kind of well higher up in the betting. I think he's very well handicapped, but he has to get round. If it was at Newbury, for instance, I think he'd be 41 for this. He really would win. Champagne Platinum, Southfield Harvest, I think, is a chance in the Per Tomps. I don't get the Imperial Alcazar thing. I think he's not well treated. I don't think the Boss's Oscar is particularly well treated either. Midnight Shadow is another one for the plate that I quite like. And a poor run over hurdles. And Sussemis Yard were really out of form. If you take that in isolation, I think he's ready made for the plates. He was the beneficiary of Champ in the Dipper, so we know that he's going to be good course form. He chased home Champ Street Lads. He was 12 lengths behind him this season in a handicap, but he beat the rest by 16 lengths. There's been subsequent winners in behind, Southfield Stone being one of them. I think 3 or 4 have kind of came up in one handicap since. That's good form. He was entered in the Ryanair until the latest declaration stage where they pulled him out. So I think they think a fair deal of him. I think return to Cheltenham, 20-25 to 1. He's too big. Plan of Attack, the Kinmure, I think better grounds, fourth last year, 10 to 1. I think he's interesting. I think Billaway will win the Hunter's Chase if he jumps. I think he's the best horse in the race. And Eclair de Bufu in the county shaped really well in a handicap at Leopardstown last time. He was 6th, and I think he will probably come on for that run at Cheltenham. He ran really well in the Grand Daniel behind Chosen Mates. I think they're trying to exploit his hurdle mark at Cheltenham. I think they'll do so successfully. I think he's going to run a big race in the County Hurdle.
Mark, what's your handicap picks for the festival?
Yeah, well, Gary doesn't know that I didn't come on the video yesterday because I had got many handicap picks. I've got 3, Honest Vic in the Pertemps, one at the track earlier in the season, absolutely bolted in as well. And then he was only 10 lengths behind Time Hill, Paisley Park and McFabulous. Then he went back and he ran over 2 miles at Kempton. It was obviously just a prep race for the Pertemps final. He's 33 to 1. I think he's way overpriced for the Pertemps final, to be honest with you. I think me and Andrew both saw this horse at the Jiggery Hockery all season until with Thyestes, Run Wild Fred. I can't believe he's got in here on the same mark as his Irish mark. I thought the British handicapper would put him out the Kinmure. I think he'll get backed off the board 6 to 1. I don't think it's that bad a price. And 2 horses, I don't know where they're going to go yet. I've been watching them. I don't think they've been trying a jot. Front View or Joseph O'Brien's. It's in the Coral Cap and in the Martin Type. And Darasso was supplemented last season for the Champion Hurdle. It's been running around in 3rd place in a lot of these small races in Ireland. I think it's been lined up for a handicap. It might be the County and it might be the Coral Cap. I'll be backing them at big odds. But the 2 handicap picks I've got are Run Wild Fed and Honest Vic.
Andrew, what's your thoughts on the handicaps this year?
Yeah, I've Druid's Altar in the Boodles. Joseph O'Brien's horse. I think he's a very progressive horse. You can see at 14 to 1 about him. Very professional for a juvenile. Hope he runs well. Back Kashari at fancy enough prices for the Coral Cup. I think he's got a massive chance. Only got £2 from the English handicapper, formerly very classy horse. They thought an awful lot of him as a younger horse as well. I think he could go well. He's been well backed. As Mark alluded to there, Run Wild Fred is best handicap bet of the whole week. 6 to 1. Even still now, I actually can't comprehend him getting beat off 140. Me and Mark have been discussing him all year. He's been before Christmas. He was the most blatant non-trier of all time. Then finished second to Longhouse Poet, Big Dog back in third in the beginners. And then second in the Thyestes, where suddenly a remarkable improvement in his jumping when a bit of money was on him for a handicap. It's the same mark just seems ludicrous. I've been sweet enough on wide receiver as well for the Martin Pipe, similar connections. I don't know how Robbie Parr didn't get called into the steward's room for the ride he gave him in the Grade 1 at Leopardstown the last day. Scandalous stuff, really. He's in the Martin Pipe of 136. I think he's a massive chance. And the one I'm really coming around to, which is a bit bizarre, but it's a bit from what I've earlier said about Jordan Gainford, is Chosen Mate in the Grand Annual. I know he's got a massive weight, but I think if they claim 7 off him, he's another one of these horses that I'm not sure has been seen to best effect this year. Let's just put it that way. He's only £9 up on his win in the race last year, where he won with a heap in hand. If Gainford takes 7 off him, he's only in effect £2 higher than last year. Still get 14-1 on better ground. I think he'll be bang there.
Brilliant. I've just got a few here in the Ultima. I really hope. I think it's Gary 10 will go National Hunt Chase, but if he went here, I would give him a massive chance off 147. The fact that if he finished third in that race behind Eclat de Beer, he would have bolted up in the Kim Muir. So 147, I think, is a good way. I think he's better than Happy Go Lucky and Lieutenant Rocco. The Boodles, I like a horse called Balco Saint at 16-1. I think he's run behind Duffel Coat and Adagio is a very good line of form. Cabell Cliffs was fourth in that race, and he is £8 higher than Balco Saint, which I think is insane. So Balco Saint at 16-1, I think is a really good price. I think he's well handicapped. In the Coral Cup, my best handicapped horse of the week is Botox Haas, 20-1. I think he's a really nice horse, a 4-year-old. He's beaten All Mankind round Cheltenham, and he finished 6th in the handicap and kept on well at Ascot over 2 miles 3. I think a step up, even a furlong, will do him the world of good. Cross country, I think Easy's Land turns up, he'll win if, of course, we know there's been a bit of news tonight over an issue with a virus or something in France. But I think if he's in the form that he was last year, he'll bolt up. Pertemps don't have a strong view. I think the Boss's Oscar is the worst handicapped horse of the festival. I think it's an insane rating what they've gave him. If he wins off that, he's a superstar. Paddy Power Plate, I like a horse called Farkless in off 146. Won the Triumph in 2018. She's a very, very good horse. She's run well in her 3 starts this year. And I think she's a better horse at 2 mile 4. Grand Annual, I don't have much of an opinion on it at all. Kim Muir, I think, again, I like the views I've got there, but I think Hold the Note could be an interesting horse. 9 chase starts and he hasn't won. I think he's too good a horse not to be competing in a race like Cheltenham. I think he's third behind Imperial Aura and Galvin in the last year's Northern Trust was good. Just a couple more. County Huddle, if Ganapathy goes, I know Callum doesn't want him to go, but if he goes off 140, I think he's an outstanding handicap horse. 140 is a great, I think 10-1. I think it's the right race to run in. Hunter's Chase, I would take on Billaway and Bob and Co. I don't really know what though, but it came to pass. I tipped up, but again, I wasn't happy with his performance the last time. Martin Pipe, don't have a real view, but again, if Ganapathy was to line up here, I would back him. We will just as well go through. We've got a £10 charity bet each that we will decide amongst us what charity we're going to donate it to. But I'm just going to go around the table. Your best bet for the meeting and the horse you're going to trust with your £10 charity bet for the festival. I'm going to go with Bob Ollinger in the Ballymore. I think Bob Ollinger is the best horse, the best value of the week. I think Bob Ollinger at 11-4 is my charity bet for the week. Callum, what's your charity bet for the week?
Glens of Antrim.
Brilliant.
Mears Novice.
Brilliant. Mark Mackay?
I was going to go for Glens of Antrim. I'll go with Run Wild Fred.
Brilliant.
Kim Muir.
Andrew?
Yeah, I'll go a £5 each way double on Kashari and Run Wild Fred.
Brilliant. Gary?
I've got a £10 win double, Bob Ollinger, Honeysuckle.
Brilliant. Really excited for the festival. Just got time for a couple of questions as well. We will go with what would be your best bets for the 2022 festival? The 2021 festival hasn't ended yet, but if you got a horse each for the festival next year, and we'll hold you to this next year when we do this again. Who wants to go first? Gary.
Anyone, go on.
Yeah, I'd say I know it's non-original, but probably Bob Ollinger for the Marsh and Brave Man's Game for the Brown Advisory.
Brilliant. Mark, any?
Just good for the Champion Chase.
Brilliant. I've got Kilcroot for the Supreme. Callum.
Bakira, National Hunt Chase.
Brilliant. Gary.
With Andrew, Bob Ollinger for the Marsh, and I would give a Nergamine. He's going to win something next year, whether he gets up the Gold Cup or Ryanair job, but a Nergamine, any race, he can get it. But a Nergamine will win whatever he runs in any time.
Brilliant. Final question from Daniel Flanagan. Who is the most unexposed horse at the Cheltenham Festival this year? Andrew.
Oh, God.
I would say between wide receiver and gentleman, to me, I'd be very shocked if the Martin Pipe winner doesn't come from those two.
Brilliant. Mark?
I didn't hear the question. Sorry, Scott.
Most unexposed type at Cheltenham this year?
I would say the way Glens of Antrim's been campaigned against Geldings all season, I think probably her, because she's going back into a mare's race, and I like that. I like that angle of going back into a mare's race. It's like a drop in class. So I'd say Glens of Antrim.
Brilliant. Callum?
Ganapathy for me. I think he.
Ganapathy for me as well. Yep. And Gary?
Yeah, difficult one for me. I don't really have an opinion on that one, to be honest, mate.
Brilliant. Thank you very much to everybody who's tuned into our preview night, and as well to Callum, Mark, Andrew and Gary. It's been an absolute pleasure to be on the show. I've really enjoyed it.
Thanks very much.
Really enjoyed it.
Brilliant. Thanks very much, everyone, for tuning in, and have a good festival. Thanks very much, everyone. Cheers.
Good luck.